Hello, welcome to another DCU Daily. Let me get that music in here before we officially really start. And there we go. So, welcome. Only 3 minutes late today. It's okay. It's okay. We'll be fine. We'll be fine. It's great. But today we have so many news things, so many DC things, and of course, quick hits in between, as well as a movie talk madness for Nobody 2 today. But in terms of news stuff, we have obviously got to go over box office, got a ton of MCU news for MCU Weekly. So we're getting that out of the way immediately. Boom, MCU Weekly, MCU Monday is more like it. But then we go into the quick hits, as we always do, and then we have tons of DC stuff. We're celebrating birthdays. Booster Gold rumors coming back full force. Got a lot of Peacemaker stuff because that is finally coming out in 3 days, I believe. So get pumped for that. And then, of course, box office for Superman, a tragic passing that we do have to talk about because it is DC related. And then the apparent Superman sequel, pseudo-sequel, Superman Saga, whatever the heck it's going to be. We're also going to be talking about that. So before I filibuster too long, like I always do, let's properly get into the show with Being Knuff.
It doesn't seem to matter what I do. I'm always the number two.
All right, mister, I need to paint my abs on to get nominated. You don't see Robert Downey doing that.
You're kidding.
You're
kidding. I can't open the envelope without the...
Warner Brothers is heading back into the Matrix with a new movie in the works.
Wonder what other surprises are in store.
I want to be Bruce Wayne.
I like that. You're gonna love me.
There's the shot right there. That.
Okay, we don't need to see
Right there.
You look ridiculous. Well, not no more, he don't.
What, dude? I can barely understand you. Your accent's insane.
Give me a hand up. Nope, I'm actually okay. Thank you very much. Oh, wow. Wow.
Welcome back, ladies and gents. Here we are. Yash is already trolling in the chat, so you know it's going to be a good day. But let me divert to the news real quick. So before we get officially started with all the big news stories and whatnot, so, you know, we are going to get into oh so curious news, quote unquote, and we're going to be talking about the poll, the amazing poll that that's going to get people excited for Fancast Friday, and then of course Tier List Tuesday for tomorrow. But unfortunately, unlike Dan, I can't see the poll results unless I click on it. So I am going to click on one. It's not going to count. I'm going to unclick it when we're done. But the poll results, Brainiac is, even without my vote, Brainiac is the one seems to be killing it right now. So, you know, I think this is good to see. I mean, a lot of people want a Brainiac. Brainiac has kind of been out of the limelight for a while. So, you know, it seems to be that we got, you know, some love for Brainiac. And with that, I think that is very wonderful to see. However, don't get me wrong, I would love to see Power Girl as well win because I have some choices for both of those. I don't have a ton of choices for the MCU characters, but we are going to be chatting about hopefully either Brainiac or Power Girl because those are the ones leading the charge for Fancast Friday. But if you want to see if one of these characters seems like a favorite of yours and you want them to win, well, go to the poll. It's still up. It's going to be up until, you know, Thursday, before the day before we do it. So, you know, pick your favorite. We'll fan cast them. And on to the next thing we have, although the more recent looking one is for Tier List Tuesday. And it seems like it doesn't really even matter which one I click because it seems like Batman movies are absolutely killing it. So I'm going to get a lot of hate for that one. So we will see about that. But I mean, if you want to try and get Phase 1 movies and trilogies, MCU trilogies kind of up there, you can try. As I said, go to the poll that's up right now before we officially do it tomorrow. And Monique, hello. Very wonderful to see you. So yes, as I said, polls are still up, so you still have maybe a couple of hours until we do this. Not really, but yeah, that's what we have for right now. But that's neither here nor there. Now let's get into the official news. So of course, the box office, Weapons is still killing it. It was said they were going to make a projected 22 million, but they even broke those expectations with 25 million. So, that's really awesome to see. I think it's also great to see Bob Odenkirk fucking killing it with the Nobody sequel, even though, it's still not huge. It's still gonna probably get its good amount of stuff in regards to that. So, and then of course, the movie that was barely even marketed, it bombed. Wow, couldn't have figured that one out. But yeah, so it seems like the clunker of this weekend seems to be Americana, which stars the now controversial Sydney Sweeney. So obviously, we will be reviewing Nobody 2 a little bit later in the show after we do box office stuff. So yeah, so it seems like Nobody 2 Weapons seems to be, killing it. Like we are in a new age of horror. So you know what? Good on these guys. Good on these guys because, a lot of people were like, oh, is the fact that Weapons is like garnering this much like praise and garnering this much in terms of the numbers. I think that's awesome. I think that's awesome to see. And I'm happy for both. Even though Nobody 2 is not as much, as I said, not as much as Weapons, it's still great. So, now we're going on to, Weapons killing it. Of course, we do have a couple streaming ditties here with Untamed, Sullivan's Crossing, Love Island, Bluey, and Blind Spot being the top series of the week. And then the top viewed movies this week were K-Pop Demon Hunters, of course, another Medea movie, Heads of State, The Amateur, and Brick. So yeah, this is definitely, and Sinners is also killing it now. And Minecraft movie for some reason. Then people are going back to the first. Happy Gilmore, Chris, like, wow, Happy Gilmore 2 sucks. Let's watch the first one. But yeah, seems to be the case here. My jeans are blue, my movies are brown. Well, not all of her movies are brown. Anyone But You fucking is like the highest, like the biggest box office like Shakespeare adaptation of all time. So, it kind of just depends. I think she just kind of needs a better agent at this point. Yeah. Hello everyone. Hello Enterprising. I'm pretty peachy. Yash has a stick up his ass like always. So, we'll see when we get there. But yeah. So congrats to Weapons. Congrats to Nobody 2, because I'm sure it's gonna, but the problem is I think with Nobody 2 is that it was not very marketed. It was not marketed very well. So it's kind of unsurprising that it didn't beat Weapons, which was heavily marketed and all that stuff. Also, hello, Ron. Lovely to see you too. Early on in the show as well. Yeah, we have a little bit of a later show today. But, I had to go see a movie earlier today. So just got back. So now we're going into some other news stories. Apparently, kind of diverging into the more superhero stuff in regards to the box office. But Fantastic Four First Steps faces a 49% decline in fourth weekend, as well as some more concept art, which you can see right here. But so Fantastic Four First Steps, yeah, it's on a 47% drop, but it's still pretty low. It's at 2.4 million. But it's worse than some of these other guys in terms of their fourth weekends. But it just seems like that the film did not have as much, despite it being a pretty good movie, it did not have as big of legs that I think Marvel thought they had with this, especially with Thunderbolts and Brave New World both bombing earlier this year. So, oh, awesome. Love to see Enterprising. Great stuff. You're going to have a good time with that one. So, yeah, competition. I think there's more stuff than we thought was gonna kill it, like weapons and Nobody 2. We're like, oh, those or Naked Gun. Oh, those aren't gonna be big. Those aren't Fantastic Four. But it turns out, I guess Fantastic Four doesn't have those legs. So, just like Lieutenant Dan, it don't got legs. But I think the fact that weapons is at 150 right now, and it has a steady drop, but it's still at number one from 10 days ago. So that's pretty fucking good, and I'm happy for it. As a horror fan. So hello, Patrick. Very lovely to see you. And then going from Marvel to DC, we have Superman. Apparently, Superman is getting real close to that $600 million opening, but not quite there. Same with F1. It seems like it's like kind of reaching that point, but we will be talking about that, I think, later on in the show, how it might not be pulled out of theaters as quickly as we thought. So it might be in there for a while. Oh, that's not your fault, Ron. You're just going to see better movies, so it's okay. It's okay. I do think it was a mistake. However, I think there are a lot of people that just didn't want to go to the theater to see it, and now they can see a proper version on streaming, which I don't love, but it's a reality now that we have to live with, unfortunately. So, they're at 595 million right now. So you know what? Good on them. Good on them. It's like 594, 595 right now. It's got 340 domestic box office opening, and then the international is allegedly 253.7. But this is flopping. This is huge flop. But F1 is a little bit lagging behind, but not too badly. But F1 has the opposite problem. Domestic is about 183, and the international is no surprise because F1 is huge internationally, similar to football / soccer. It's huge overseas, but not big, not very big over here. So it has the opposite problem where it's like it's getting that big international box office, and it's lagging only around 4 to 5 million behind Superman. So they're both of them are still killing it, and I think we still have that re-release in for F1, so there is that too. Hello, Hosea. I am doing mighty fine. I'm kind of relaxing right now. I was just I had a 90-minute drive to and from the movie I was going to see because it was only available in a town a bunch of like 45 minutes away. So but if you want to tell us, please do. I've been watching a bunch of movies. I'm older movies. I'm not new releases. I haven't. The last new release was Thursday with Nobody 2, but please tell us. Yeah. They're WB still getting dubs. Also, Man of Steel Magnolias. I'm not gonna fucking dox myself, you fucking weirdo. And yeah, Enterprising, a win is a win. So awesome. Great. We do have a little bit more, but apparently it has overtaken Spider-Man 3 in terms of the 26th highest grossing superhero movie of all time at the domestic box office. Now, the reason at the time, Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man 3, nobody had the power of hindsight at that point where Toby, they was just getting off the greatness of Spider-Man 2, and it was introducing Venom, so everybody was going to see that movie. So, Harlem Nights, True Romance, and The Rock. In terms of the stuff I watched, what did I watch? I actually do have to log that. But but what did I watch? So the two movies I watched this weekend, well, I finished this weekend because some of them took a while to actually finish, but the two I finished were Once Bitten and The Burbs, both pretty good. I just got back from seeing the re-release of Texas Chainsaw Massacre. So there's that. And then I started watching today this cult hit called The Reflecting Skin. Good so far. I haven't finished it yet, but very good. Molly's Game, I heard that was pretty good. They are classics. Well, True Romance and The Rock, I would say, those are. I've never heard of Harlem Nights, so I don't know about that one. Oh, nice. Wait, Maverick as in Top Gun Maverick or Maverick with Mel Gibson? Which one are you talking about? The Siege. That's interesting. The Siege. So yeah. Romantic sad song. I don't. Yeah, okay, that's what because you were saying Maverick, not Top Gun Maverick. So, but I knew what you were talking about. I know it was based on the old TV show of the same name. Yeah, exactly. I think they would have hit 600, 650, maybe even 700 easily. But neither here nor there. But yeah, so it's the 26th highest grossing movie of all time. So there is that. So congratulations to The Siege. I don't remember that one. Nice. We are talking about movies right now because it is MovieTalk Madness. We'll be getting into that soon. Thoughts? Let us know your thoughts about Najat 2. Is it as great as the entire Chinese audience says it is, or are they blowing hot air? It's directed by him. Okay. Yeah, congrats, Last Son of Krypton. But speaking of movie talking, we are going to be talking a movie. So we are going to be getting into the sequel to the surprise smash hit of 2021. That is Nobody 2. Nobody 2. This was a long time coming. It was, 4 years we got the last movie. So here we are to talk about Nobody 2. So we continue Hutch's journey from the previous movie, which ended. Spoiler alert for the first one and Nobody 2. I'm going to be talking light spoilers for Nobody 2, but still spoilers enough. So if you still want to see it, so obviously we'll get into that. But Nobody 2, awesome. Glad that you like Najat 2, by the way. Who doesn't love Bob Odenkirk? Who doesn't like him? But with this movie, it continues on from the last one where he goes back into, his job. He owes money to Colin Salmon's character because he burned like $30 million. So he owes like a shit ton of money. So that's what he's doing. He's doing all these jobs for Colin Salmon. Then eventually, like, he realizes the toll this has taken on his family and on himself. He's like, you know what? Let's fucking get a break. Let's get a break. But it turns out the break leads into something more. And we get to our little movie. Now, in regards to my thoughts on the first one, I thought Nobody won. Nobody was fantastic action comedy. I thought it even though I think the John Wick franchise is pretty great, there's something like admirable about the Nobody Now franchise, where I like the comedy bits where it's not so serious all the time, but I also love I love the grittiness of it. Like, I like how Bob Odenkirk's character is good at his job, but he's also still a guy. He's not this, like, fucking super soldier that John Wick kind of is. Not saying, like, John Wick doesn't get hurt. He gets punched. He bleeds. But this guy gets put through the ringer. And it shows. Like, in one scene, you can see the bandage on his finger, but he gets his fucking pinky cut off. He gets scratched and slashed and beat and bruised, and this dude, it doesn't let up throughout the entirety of the movie, and I like that kind of like blue collar action hero kind of vibe. Like I kind of like that about Hutch and this franchise, but Bob Odenkirk is always great. Connie Nielsen is wonderful as always. She shows that she's like the perfect line between like supportive wife but also don't fuck with me kind of vibe, where she clearly loves Hutch, she knows Hutch, and she's supportive of him, but at the same time it's like, you know what, like I also want you to fucking come home for dinner, you asshole. Like, there's only so much I can take. Then you just kind of even though I still support you in this life, it's still like I still have needs. I still like want to see you because I love you. So I liked that dynamic, and also like someone you don't want to fuck with either. So I really like that as well. The kids are okay. They don't really serve much of a point. In fact, the son's arc or development kind of shied away by the third act. It's like nowhere to be seen. I think Christopher Lloyd, always great to see. I don't know who plays Hutch's brother. It's an actor I'm unfamiliar with, but he does a really good job. John Ortiz is very good in this movie. He plays like the kind of podunk water park owner. And then you also have Colin Hanks as this ruthless sheriff who's he's such a great asshole in this. I think he does a really good job despite having a fucking bum ass haircut. But I I think so I think Logan, I might go see Superman one more time in the theater. I think I think this was a good time. I think the action set pieces are very good, especially in the third act with like the water park. As my friend said, it's definitely Home Alone vibes meets Zombieland vibes. I think the action was phenomenal, as always. I think it was a little bit choppier edited, as well as some choppy edits here and there. The structure was a little bit off, but and then the development for the son kind of goes like away by the end of it. But even then, I still thought it was a really great time. Like I do ever so slightly prefer the first one. But I mean, this is a great poster because this scene was phenomenal. Like that was a great action set piece. This was another great. I will say, Dolby posters, they know what's up. They know how to fucking do shit. Dolby posters are fucking awesome. Those are the best. The Dolby posters should be the regular posters because of how good they are. So but yeah, I thought actually a fun fact about Nobody 2 that originally it was supposed to be, because he was giving an interview for the movie, that originally it was supposed to take place in Venice, Italy, and they were gonna find a stash of guns on a gondola. But then Bob Odenkirk and his real life wife were like, "Oh, that sounds great. That sounds so interesting. We can go to Italy. Oh my God, all that stuff." So, I think, I think it was, I think that could have been good. But then Bob Odenkirk then really thought about it. He's like, you know what? My character would never fucking go to Italy for a vacation. That's too much. That doesn't make sense. That's more John Wick. So he's like, let's go with a rinky-dink water park and let's have it be National Lampoon's, fucking action vacation. But overall, I really enjoyed Nobody 2. I think this first one's ever so slightly better. The second one had a little bit choppier editing, not as good action. And the story in the first was definitely better. However, I will say the villain in this movie is better. Sharon Stone does a fucking terrific job as a villain. Even though she doesn't have a huge role in the movie, I think she did a very good job. Very memorable, just like absolutely ruthless in every which way. So you know, so, if I were to give it any sort of rating, I'd probably give it like an 8.5 out of 10. I would probably give the first one like a 9. But both are phenomenal. Both are great action comedies. I think I would say go to the theater to see it. Because movie theaters need your support. So go see this. Go see Superman again. Go see F1 again. Go see Weapons again. Go see fucking Together. Nobody's going to see that. Go see Together because that's also great. Not for the faint of heart, but still really good. But yeah, that is it for the review. So let me just turn off the overdramatic music. But we'll be getting into one more thing before before this officially ends. But yeah, apparently the stunt coordinator on training Bob Odenkirk for that duck boat fight scene and how the star's childhood inspired it. So they were kind of talking about how the stunt coordinator tells Variety from the get-go. One concept was how to take the action set piece of the bus from the first one, double down on that while staying true to the summer vibe of the sequel. I do think the bus action sequence was definitely better, but apparently it came from this childhood experience that Bob had. He said, I remember going on these duck boats when I would go to Wisconsin Dells as a kid. So they kind of brought that idea into it. So yeah, and Rementer, the coordinator, was really excited about the sequence, and apparently they shot it for real on the water instead of on a blue screen. So that was definitely exciting. So they brought in a lot of inspiration. Jackie Chan was obviously a very big inspiration for the scene, and it's pretty awesome to really see all that again. So it's definitely, there's a lot of vibes, and it shows that Bob Odenkirk really cares about this franchise. He really cares about Hutch as a character. I have no idea. Obviously see the ones that you're interested in. Don't see all of them, but yeah, same here. Luckily I have AMC Stubs A-list, so I can see at least 4 for free. But worth it. But yeah, it just goes to show Bob Odenkirk really loves this franchise and loves everything about it, and willing to take a step back, instead of having a vacation in Italy, he's like, you know what, my character wouldn't do that. So I appreciate that as well. I think he's a producer on it too, so that definitely helps. But yeah, this was definitely a fun time. But moving on from Movie Talk Madness, still had that one thing to do. But now we're going into MCU Weekly. So the first thing that we are going to be talking about, there was a bit of a clarification that needed to be said, but this kind of went. There was a miscommunication. A couple, I think, weeks ago, Charlie Cox said that they were done filming the second and final season of Daredevil Born Again, and Vincent D'Onofrio would kind of did PR no, it's not less. But Charlie Cox confirmed that Daredevil season 2 will, and technically season 5 of the entire show, will not be the show's final season. It was either a misstep or or whatever. So Cox is appearing for the Love Fantasy. It wasn't a full-blown interview, so it was just quick remarks. It's going to be really good. That's what they said about the first season. Look how that turned out. Of course, following these reports about season 2 potentially being the end of the road for Daredevil Born Again, we asked Cox directly whether it was indeed the last one. No, he responded confidently, pausing a second before acting, I do not believe so. So, and then he's like, hey, do you want to do a team up with Spider-Man? He's like, yeah, fuck yeah. You kidding me? So, it is now officially confirmed. Charlie Cox either flubbed up or, was saying for now, because I think it was back-to-back seasons. Because it was originally supposed to be one 18-episode season. And then due to change-ups and all this other shit, they reshot the first season that then it like doing all the stuff that higher ups changing, all that stuff, Brad Winderbaum coming in, it became split into 2 seasons of season 4 and season 5 / season 1, season 2. So Daredevil season 2 will not be the show's final season. So if you're worried about that or not, then there you go. Or sorry, I guess. But the next thing we have is Alan Cumming talking about, you know, talking about Avengers Doomsday, but he's called the experience very healing playing Nightcrawler in Avengers Doomsday after the very awful experience shooting X2. That's partly why he didn't come back for X-Men The Last Stand, I think, with all that makeup. It was probably chaotic and all that shit. So, he was talking about so he's like, I just came back. It was amazing. It was actually really, in a sort of gooey way, it was really healing and really nice to go back to something that was a terrible experience when I did it the first time. A great film. I love the film. So Cumming added that filming X2 with the famed director Bryan Singer was miserable and awful for a variety of reasons that I have talked about at length. So he said it was, just an overall better experience, which I can definitely see that. Like, working with Bryan Singer, that probably is something. I don't know what his reasons specifically are, but I would imagine it's mainly the makeup and, not being able to like maybe do certain things. It was probably just an overall chaotic experience. So it's nice that he like came back to the character and now has something nicer to go back to. Whether or not Doomsday will be any good, we'll see. But I do hope it is good because he was one of the best parts of X2 of an overall. Like, I mean, there was many parts of that movie that were phenomenal. I mean, Brian Cox as well, being one of the best, comic book villains in that movie. So, it's nice that he has a good experience attributed to the character, and maybe, hopefully, we can maybe see him again in Secret Wars. It'll be more of a bigger role, but obviously we'll have to wait and see. But next thing we have is Fantastic Four, but even though it's been kind of steadily dropping, it did pass 450 million worldwide. So it will finish closer to Superman than expected. So there is that as well. It's kind of also hello Steven. Dan is going to come in. Well, not really an early stream. It's a much later stream. Usually we try to start at like 8. But Dan's hopefully going to be coming in for DCU Daily. We'll see. He has a lot of editing stuff to do. Also, yes, hashtag Mutant Freedom. But yeah, so it seems like it'll be, closer to Superman than we thought, but maybe not as much of a gap as we originally thought. So that's pretty good. Now, going back to Avengers Doomsday, that the rumor is now it's not from the douchebag Jeff Snyder, but it is coming from a reliable runtime leaker, Cryptic 4K Qual. They chimed in with some possible intel. So apparently Deadpool has his own team now, and he's still probably going to fold into a bigger one. Fuck the Avengers. So it's entirely possible that we might see X-Force again, because that was like the famous scene in Deadpool 2 where all of them died. Also, hello, Tony Randall. Lovely to see you again. That apparently, it seems as though Deadpool is going to be, getting his own team, which I feel like makes sense, whether he is actually going to be, heading the team already, or they joined during the movie, whatever it is. I can see that. I can't, because like the whole thing was like, oh, he's not going to be part of the Avengers. It's like, yeah, no shit, he's not going to be part of the Avengers. Why the fuck would Deadpool be part of the Avengers? I could see it. Marvel's pretty petty about stupid shit, so But yeah, so it seems like Deadpool might have his own team, and there are conflicting reports whether or not he'll appear at all. So the Hollywood Reporter and the Wrap says he is in it. Well, Deadline, I believe we talked about this on Friday, where there were conflicting rumors on whether or not he was going to appear in Doomsday. Some people say he is, some people say he isn't. So yes, X-Force. We're not doing the sexist thing of men. It's X-Force. I forget what the line was, but yeah. So it seems like I mean that makes the most sense that he would do X-Force. But yeah, so I mean I could see both. Like I could see like Marvel's like, okay, we're trying to focus on the Avengers. He's not going to be in it. We're just going to focus on the Avengers and the X-Men, specifically that X-Men and not necessarily Deadpool because he just got his own movie. But I could also see Marvel being like, well, he made us $1.5 billion. Let's shove him into this to see if we can get our billions back per movie. So, I could see both. Whatever it is. I hope people enjoy it. Then, still moving on, apparently there's another rumor that Elizabeth Olsen will continue to play the Scarlet Witch in post-Avengers Secret Wars MCU. And now, as we know, Kevin Feige all but confirmed that there is going to be a reset, not a reboot. There is going to be a reset of the timeline, and Iron Man and Captain America are possibly going to be recast, which is why we have this poll. So if you still want access to this poll, it's still up on the Oh So Curious channel. But Elizabeth Olsen will continue to play the Scarlet Witch in the MCU. So which is definitely interesting. So it leads us to believe, if this is true, now this is coming from the Cosmic Circus, which is not very reliable, but it says here that Alex Perez is saying that she will continue playing Wanda Maximoff in the post Secret Wars MCU, which will be a reset. So what also so which is again, if this article brings up very interesting things. Hey Wade, hey Yukio, yeah, very cute. She should, I believe so, because she never really got a time to shine in the actual MCU. And I hope they truly redeem Wanda because I feel they nearly assassinated her character. Yeah, I could see that too. But it's interesting because obviously we're going to be getting the X-Men now in the MCU, and she's the daughter of Magneto. I know they've like retconned it like back and forth in the comics. Oh, they are, they aren't, they are, they aren't, they are, they aren't. It's like a whole thing. I think right now in the comics, and please tell me if I'm wrong, I think it's canon that she and Quicksilver are not, but I think Polaris still is. I don't know. I think that's what it is now. Yeah, exactly. I think she deserves to be redeemed. But again, this could be total bullshit. But there's a lot of precedents. As I said, the Magneto thing, are they going to make it Magneto's daughter or not? Are other characters going to stay the same, or is it most characters going to stay the same, or only a couple characters? Because it's revealed that Captain America and Iron Man are getting recast, but then someone like Wanda Maximoff isn't. And then they're obviously going to start clean with the X-Men because it's a new franchise. And then they're going to we have a recast Fantastic Four from the other ones. And then so who is and isn't? So that's definitely worthy to talk about. But Game Freakness coming in. FYI, Disney contracts suck. They sign you for 6+ movies, and sometimes it goes by years, which suck. People who want to leave Disney don't come back. You can look up the Snow White voice contract. I mean, that was from a long, long, long time ago. That was back in the 30s and 40s when like Disney was trying to keep up the illusion of like, oh, it's only Snow White's contract. So I get that, but that was a very long time ago. And I'm not saying that Disney is in the right now, as in the company, but we've come a bit of a long way since like 1937. So there is that. But I know exactly what you're talking about. However, it also seems it's bringing up another thing that Doctor Strange, he'll be out to fix the incursions allegedly caused by Chris Evans as Captain America by going back in time to stay with Peggy. that was another rumor, so who knows if that's true or not. And he's gonna like to fix the incursions by any means necessary. So, it could have something to do with Clea because she was teased in Doctor Strange and the overly long title. So this would be a good time to remind everyone that the flow of time is different in the dark dimension since it is basically non-existent. So even though it'll have been 3.5 to 4 years since Stephen Strange has been on Earth, imagine how much time would have passed in the dark dimension. So it seems as though like a lot of this makes sense, but we'll see. This is all rumor. We don't know if Wanda Maximoff is coming, or we don't know if Elizabeth Olsen as Wanda is coming back. We don't know if this Doctor Strange thing is true. This is all rumor. So so here she is talking about her legacy. So how it's typical, like they feel very lucky, and how she's felt very lucky being part of this franchise, but we don't know if she'll continue. So obviously we will see if this is true or not in the coming future. So then finally for MCU Weekly, so this is the rumor on how Avengers Secret Wars will reboot the MCU. I assume it has something to do with Doctor Doom or the Beyonder. So again, this is coming from the Cosmic Circus, which is not a viable source. So again, like who knows? But they shared more insights in regards to this. They're revealing that the post Secret Wars MCU will combine elements from all the different realities we visited and have yet to visit to create Earth 616 as it was originally. Now, this is okay because I just need for them to say that this Earth is Earth 199999, and then it'll become Earth 616. That I don't mind, but we'll read on. As the site put it, back when Avengers 5 was still Kang Dynasty, one of the big twists was how the Earth we have seen in these films and shows was not Earth 616, but rather a version of Earth 616 cultivated by He Who Remains that removed many heroes from what was originally Earth 616. This would have been called Earth Prime. It's why Doctor Strange vaguely remembers the Fantastic Four as a band that charted in the 60s instead of them being world-renowned scientists who gained powers after a space exploration. The piece explains, or why Eric Lensher never became Magneto, or why Charles Xavier was a simple college professor. The reset expected in Avengers Secret Wars would alter the course of events and bring with it an Earth that was always meant to be filled with Avengers, the X-Men, and the Fantastic Four, and we'd basically be in the middle of a timeline where everyone in the world thinks that this has always been the case since the beginning of time. And as it talks about how this could be kind of iffy, literally the Flash did the same thing with the Arrowverse by combining the Supergirl, Black Lightning, and main Earths into one after Crisis on Infinite Earths, just to have an even continuity, but like only a few characters remembered. But so certain events that we know happen in the MCU will have occurred in a different way, kind of like what James Gunn is talking about with the DCU, how like Suicide Squad is like kind of sort of canon, but like not really. Most of Peacemaker season 1 is canon, but like not totally, because there's the Justice League there. So there is that. I know this is probably making people's heads full. And remember, this is a rumor. However, in terms of this rumor, I want to believe this, because I actually do want to believe this, because it makes sense how instead of Earth 616, we had Earth 199999, and then on top of the fact, we had X-Men on their Earth, and then Fantastic Four on their on 828. So I think that's a whole thing. Yeah, I think it's I think this would make sense. I'm curious to know what your guys' thoughts on this are, but let me go back to the comments. It'd be a weird retcon to get used to, considering how well one likes WandaVision and her backstory currently in the MCU. In my old age, Wanda, Pietro, Polaris, all siblings, and Magneto as the father. Post Secret Wars is if going to stay around, see young Wanda, young work into his backstory. Okay, what's the maybe Game Freakness will come in with that. I think she will at some point. Game Freakness. Chris Evans said they had him sign a 6-film deal before he even did the first one. There's an interview of him saying that. I would sign on as long as, hey, I can still go film other stuff. What do you think the next Marvel saga will be called? Isn't it the Mutant Saga? Or are we in the Mutant Saga? I fucking don't know. We're in the Multiverse Saga, right? So I think I think the next one was officially called the Mutant Saga because they're bringing in the X-Men. I think that's what it is, right? Please tell me if I'm wrong. Reboot DCU, reboot MCU, all that fun stuff. And Deadpool said Disney brought him back. They're gonna make him do it till he's 90. I don't think he was joking. No, I got it from Staples. What happens to Earth 616? Well, there is no Earth 616 because there's only Earth 1999999. So, you know, Mutant Saga have been pretty out there. Big reason to buy Fox get X-Men. Yeah. Lots of saga, Superman Saga, Batman Saga, Mutant Saga, all the sagas. But let me know what your guys' thoughts are on this, because it's definitely very interesting, and I want to believe that, because I feel like that's a very interesting way to take it. And I feel like that makes the most sense, how like, oh, it was all separated, and now I could see them, even though they did throw out the script for Kang Dynasty, Michael Waldron is now being brought on because they're still writing the script for Secret Wars and Doomsday. So it's like, we'll see, but I can imagine that they do, in fact, you know, do that, because I feel like logistically that makes sense. Or they could just like, you know, just be like, oh, it's reset because reasons, because, you know, we're bringing in all these people. So reset, but they're not going to really clarify it. But I would imagine it has something to do with the Beyonder and Doctor Doom. So, you know, we will see. I think all the reshoots in big Avengers movies annoy the actors. Michael Douglas and Idris Elba both wanted out after a while. That makes sense. Oops, sorry about that. Do you think Disney could buy DC, or would they have a monopoly? No, they can't. They're not. Oh my god, no way. Could they? Maybe. But one, it would be close to a monopoly, and two, Warner Brothers, now that they have the cash cow of James Gunn and all that, and Zaslav really believes in the DCU, so no way would they ever give that up anytime soon. Like, pretty much the rest of like the DCU have to be like the biggest colossal bombs where they lose like hundreds of millions of dollars in order for Zaslav to maybe think that this shit is going to be part of it. So I don't think that's for Marvel to fucking buy it. So, you know, our Earth 626 was the right. We're still everyone's left show. What? Left shoe. I don't know what you're talking about. Yeah, I think we'd all hate it. Which is funny, because in the 70s, they considered selling DC off to Marvel, and Marvel, or the characters off to Marvel, because they were like in near bankruptcy. And then in the 90s, Marvel considered selling to DC because they were losing lots of money. So yeah, Disney will never buy DC. That would be fucking stupid. But that is it for MCU Weekly. Now we are going to get into the next part of the show, which is quick hits, guys. The quick hits will remain quick, I promise you. So let's go into that Bossa Nova elevator music. I almost put it on. So let's jump into all of this. Although, speaking of Magneto, we have Ian McKellen, Sir Ian McKellen. Apparently, he has said that Gandalf and Frodo will appear and return in Andy Serkis's Lord of the Rings: The Hunt for Gollum. And he's like, apart from that, my lips are sealed. So we can confirm that this is going to be crappy nostalgia bait from, New Line, Warner Brothers, whatever you want to call it. So, yes, I am aware of that. He almost bought Marvel, and he also, the stigma was he wanted to play Spider-Man. We did actually go over a fan cast Friday. So we did that 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago, we did a fan cast Friday of all the Batman actors, so you can go back and watch that. So yeah, same. I'm with Ron. Not interested. I don't care. I pretty much swore off the Lord of the Rings franchise after, The Hobbit was that bad. So yeah, the hunt for more money. That's right. Search for more money? Nah, the hunt for more money. So, yep, Ian McKellen and it seems to be Elijah Wood are returning. I don't know what the fuck this is going to be about. I gave up after the first one. The first one was bad, so I was like, fuck this, I'm not watching the rest. But moving on from one fantasy franchise to another, Harry Potter set photo finds the boy wizard exploring London alongside Nick Frost's Hagrid. It's, this is the footage right here. It just has, Harry and Hagrid walking across the street in what seems to be 90s London because you could see all the cars. That's when the books originally took place. But there's older cars and all of that. So that seems to be the case. So, I mean, obviously we can't tell quality from this, how good the show will be. I still have no hope for this because I don't know what's going on. But it's just I don't have a ton of faith in this. The showrunner said we're not going to be doing the books. The originals, even though they're not great movies, they're kind of nostalgia classics. So I don't know. I want it to be good, but someone actually made a joke where it was yeah, Hagrid's on that Ozempic because he's not big enough. I just feel like he's tall enough, but he's just kind of too lanky for me. It just kind of doesn't work. He doesn't look like Hagrid. He just looks like a hobo. So that's just kind of the vibe I'm getting. So yeah, doesn't make a ton of sense. But WB still wants that Harry Potter money, and the Fantastic Beasts franchise wasn't doing anything for him. So they got to still work on it. So going from one British franchise to another, Helen Mirren was in an interview for Mobland with, previous James Bond Pierce Brosnan, and she was like, Helen Mirren says James Bond has to be a guy. I'm such a feminist, but you can't have a woman. It just doesn't work. Yeah, it doesn't work because he's James Bond, not Jane Bond. It's James Bond. Make it a guy, make it a white guy. That's what the character was, and that's what it should remain to be. So, yes, that was initially what got me, and I do like the casting of John Lithgow as Albus Dumbledore. However, they said they're oh, we're kind of going to do our own thing and not follow the book, so it's just yeah, probably for me. Same with that and the Spider-Man movies. Those are those geeky kind of things. But yeah, I agree with Helen Mirren. It would be fucking stupid to have a woman, unless it's a totally different character who kind of like Lashana Lynch in No Time to Die, where she was 007, but not James Bond. That works. But just keep James Bond a dude. Don't try to fucking do that. And with Denis Villeneuve, I have faith that he will have a proper James Bond, just as long as it's not the twink shortlist we got. So, next up, we have Legendary in talks for global theatrical output deal with Skydance-owned Paramount. Apparently they're, Dan explains this better, but apparently they're in a global deal. They're not getting bought out or anything, but it's just a distribution deal with Legendary, who was kind of under WB for a while, and now it seems like they're going to Paramount, and they do have a couple franchises under their belt. Because they don't have that are known for that, but they don't have rights for it, the MonsterVerse and the Dune franchises. Those are still at Warner Brothers. So yeah, it just seems like Legendary is might be striking a deal with when the iron's hot with Legendary with Paramount. So yeah, that's Selling Point was doing more from books, now no books. Oh, yeah, no, it's fucking stupid. It makes no sense. So, yeah. What are you disagreeing with about cool? The Harry Potter stuff? Yeah, it's fucking stupid. No, F1 was Apple TV. Warner Brothers distributed it, but not Legendary specifically. It was Warner Brothers. Yep. Pacific Rim with Universal, of course. So it's like Legendary is like a subsidiary, but they don't like belong to WB or any of major studios. They just kind of depending. But yeah, then MSNBC will change name to MS Now after NBC Universal split. Cool, don't care. Anyway, Kevin Costner and Jake Gyllenhaal to star in Amazon MGM dramedy Honeymoon with Harry, penned by Dan Fogelman, Jennifer Salk among producers. So could be cool, could be interesting. If it's on Amazon Prime, maybe I'd watch it if it interests me, but I don't really know. But speaking of other TV shows, Natalie Dormer joins the spinoff of Extraction, which is going to be a TV series. And so, yeah, if you were pumped for the Extraction TV series, apparently your girl Natalie Dormer is joining it. Then next up, Fallout Season 2 sets December premiere. First look photos show the ghoul in New Vegas before, the bombs fell. But apparently it's going to be, it's setting up, in December. But as well as a couple, first look photos, you can kind of see them here. You have the ghoul and Ella Purnell, Colin McLaughlin, and you can see them going into New Vegas, as well as certain flashbacks here and there. So yeah, definitely cool. If you were stoked for this, then awesome, great. Nice. I've heard that season 1 is great. So yes, Chris Hemsworth, it's getting a TV series. Yes, very nice. Las Vegas. New Vegas is my favorite. I hope they get the vibe right. I'm sure they will. I mean, everyone was shocked with how good the first Fallout season was. So I can imagine this will only be even better and double down on all the stuff that is great. Now we go on for something really stupid. Fucking Gal Gadot being a fucking dumbass. Gal Gadot blames Snow White being box office flop on pressure in Hollywood to speak out against Israel. Yeah, no, it's just your fucking movie sucked, bitch. Like, it's nothing has to do with politics. It's none of this is political. You're just a terrible actress and your fucking movie sucks. Like, that's literally all it is. And most people are sick of seeing, like, and it was plagued with controversies. Rachel Zegler is a fucking dumbass. It's just like, no, there's so many reasons why Snow White flopped. It's not because of fucking your country of origin. Like, calm down, bitch. You're not that important. Anyway, Charisma Carpenter addresses whether or not she will be in the Buffy reboot. Spoiler alert, she's not. But she says, I'm not in the reboot. I'm not in the pilot. Because remember, it's only a pilot and it'll be called to series if it's successful. But Charisma Carpenter did say she is positive that it will most definitely be, brought to series because she thinks it'll be that good. But Charisma Carpenter has spoken out on Joss Whedon and her time and experience on Buffy, so it makes sense that she's probably not going to come back. Margot Robbie, like Gal Gadot is like just not she's just not important enough. Like, I think it also helps that everybody hates Gal Gadot now because she's Israeli. So like, that's just like nobody likes her. And she's just not that great of an actress. I think she did do a good job as Wonder Woman in her movie. But Margot Robbie, her existence annoys me. And I don't really like any of her movies. I haven't seen anything that's special from her that others can do better. So, exactly. She hasn't done anything impactful since Wonder Woman. Every chat I was in one stream got very racist, talked about this and others, just had lots of problems even before the movie came out. Yep, exactly. Very controversial with that. But yeah, Charisma Carpenter is not going to appear in the Buffy reboot for the time being, but it's unlikely because, her past experiences with Joss Whedon, which may or may not be true, so who knows. But speaking of, I don't know, reboots, Sharon Stone curses off Basic Instinct reboot. I don't know why you would do it. Go ahead. Good fucking luck, which, like, good for her. I mean, it does have the original writer attached, so that's something, but I can't imagine that this will be any good because the whole thing was like, it was an exotic thriller, and most exotic thrillers or erotic thrillers are just kind of not very good. Like, I remember there was one with like Ana de Armas and Ben Affleck, and it was terrible. think Robert Rodriguez directed it. But yeah, I think yeah, I agree, Tony Randall. It's just acting. But yeah, I mean, it's kind of funny because it's like she's like, it's probably gonna suck, and it is probably gonna suck, even with the writer, because they probably can't get lightning in a bottle twice. So, you know, she's living her best life. She was great in Nobody 2, as I mentioned, so good for her. I don't know. I've never seen the original Basic. I know the scene you're talking about. Everybody fucking knows that scene. But I've actually never seen the movie. I mean, I can't imagine the reboot would be good. I think Sharon Stone has a point here. I don't know why, but like, go ahead, I guess. Go off, as the kids would say. But apparently Frankenstein also set a release date for November 7th for its Netflix release date, but it will appear in select theaters October 17th. So, you know, Lordy also talking about how he, you know, devoured the other monsters to prepare for the role. So yeah, I'm stoked for this. Lordy's the only linchpin that I'm like kind of like, I don't know if he'll be good or not, but I trust Guillermo del Toro. I hope it's good. But yes, November 7th for Netflix, October 17th for select theaters. So see if the movie will be in your select theater or not. So yeah. Then for our final quick hit, apparently we got a first kind of glimpse at Cody Rhodes's Guile for the upcoming Street Fighter reboot from Andrew Schultz, who's gonna be, I forget what character he's playing, but yeah, there he is. The shadow of that obnoxious crew cut is going to be appearing in the movie. So, you know, but yeah. Yeah, but you know, money. But yeah, if you're excited about the Street Fighter reboot, boom, there you go. We got an accurate Guile as opposed to the Belgian that we got as the Super American Soldier. Go figure. So yeah, very nice. Cool. Anyway, that's it for the quick hits, guys. No more quick hits. We still have, but remember, and thanks for watching the news side of things. Don't worry. We will be getting into DC stuff, but for now, thanks for watching this side of things. We have a bunch, and I mean a bunch of DC stuff. So thanks for watching this side, but stay tuned for DCU Daily, where we are blessed from the start.
It's another project that's been blessed from the beginning.
There's the shot right there. That.
Okay, we don't need to see.
Right there.
Hey, buddy. Eyes up here.
Now you want to get nuts?
Let's get nuts.
Here we go.
Victory mine. Ask me how am I doing? I'm telling you, really, I'm doing sublime. I never wait in the stewardess line. I just go do it. I'm moving my time. Really had nothing to do with it. How am I moving? I'm moving like you want to shine. Follow my lead. Don't listen to lies. I had to put me all in the line. That's why I know that victory's mine.
I prefer Jared Leto.
Hunka hunka.
Oh my God. It's DC time, guys. And we are going to be getting into it today. We have so much stuff. So much stuff, guys. So much stuff. Like straight up, like I'm not even joking. Like I joke about that all the time. Oh my God, we have so much stuff, and then we end up not having a lot of stuff. Just like to pump you guys up and stuff. But like genuinely, straight up, we have a shit ton of like actually like tons of crap today. So obviously we got to get that banner back up. But yeah, getting into DC time for right now. Honka honka, yes. DC is here. Yes, you are correct. Yeah. But the first thing is not a huge story. Because you know we got to start off with the smaller, quick DC hits. And get into something bigger. So with that, we will enter into Kristen Milioti. Apparently, a couple days ago, she celebrated her 40th birthday. So we wish Kristen Milioti a very belated happy birthday. And she does not look 40 at all. Still looking fantastic. But yeah, Kristen Milioti. No, not Margot. Fuck Margot. Kristen Milioti is where it's at. So this is the unhinged chick that we all want to be. We all want in our lives, not fucking Harley Quinn and Margot Robbie. Get that the fuck out of here. Kristen Milioti, where is that? Is where it's at, and Penguin is where it's at. Hell yeah. But happy birthday to Kristen Milioti, and congratulations on her various nominations for the Penguin with the Emmys coming up. So obviously wonderful for her. Next up, apparently, speculation with ya boy Kumail Nanjiani coming in. That he has not only joined the DCU, but he is playing Booster Gold. But it seems like Kumail Nanjiani, he showed up to Superman, he showed up to the Peacemaker season 2 premiere, and people are like, "Yo, what's up with this?" But it, initially it was spread around because Peter Safran was with Mike Flanagan and Kumail Nanjiani and both of their wives at the Olympics. Now, Mike Flanagan was all but confirmation that Clayface was being used as a script, and that got the green light, and now that's getting released. So now it's just like now with Kumail Nanjiani, the other side of the coin at the Olympics. Interestingly enough, nothing has been clicked yet, and yet he's at these premieres. So it's like, is Kumail Nanjiani just that good of a friend of Peter Safran, or does he have something more? Well, it seems like those rumors are resurfacing that he is in fact going to be Booster Gold. So, we are getting an apocalyptic horseman pretty much saying it's happening. Even this saying Kumail Nanjiani as Booster Gold is happening. Deadline, we're just saying it's a rumor, but it's happening. So I would not hate this. I do think there are better actors for the role. Well, I'm going to answer your question right now, Steven Ortega. I like Kumail Nanjiani. I think he can be very funny. I never saw The Eternal, so I don't know how good that is. But I mean, I think he would do a good job. Is he the most perfect? Who would I imagine? No, but like, I still think he's very funny, and I still think he could fit that idea of this character. But obviously we'll see, if that works very, very well. But I mean, I think he will do a good job. I think he's a good enough actor. I think he's funny enough. So yeah, I think most definitely. Yes. But moving on from one thing to another. But by the way, what are your guys' thoughts on Kumail Nanjiani being part of the DCU and possibly part of Boostmaker? Boostmaker? Whoa, she's a piece, because Peacemaker is the next thing we're talking. Booster Gold. Jesus Christ, my brain is fried. So I figure it was true because he's always hanging with Gunn in the Superman cast. It should be played by a comic accurate person, blonde hair. That's, well, Kumail Nanjiani could always blonde his hair. Dye his hair. Jesus Christ, I can't fucking talk today. But he can make that work. We shall see. I liking the actor but not for Booster. I could see that. I like the actor fine, but I don't like the casting. But remember, guys, it's not Booster Gold specifically. He could just be playing a role in the franchise, and Booster Gold is what they're going to, because that's what the initial rumors were. And who knows? Apocalypse Horseman is not usually right, so we'll see. But cool. It's so weird. It's so weird for you to call you Cool Easy. It's so much Elite Easy. You sounded so much better. Anyway, but I haven't had any problems with Gunn's casting yet. Obviously, yes. Boostmaker sounds like a juice joint. That's a ship name if I've ever heard one. I think he should play a different character in the DC, not Booster. Whatever it is, whatever character he's gonna play, I think he'll do a baller job, but we'll see. But next up, Peacemaker, not Boostmaker. Peacemaker. So, there was that joke that Green Arrow was a brony in the season 1, and James Gunn has given an update on Green Arrow being in the DCU. So, for some fucking reason, even though most people I see want this character, but Green Arrow and a Green Arrow adjacent film or show is not in the works for the DCU as of right now. So it is unknown if he's canon for Peacemaker season 1 or not. And they address the notion with the rewatch podcast, which I'm very behind on. They just released the last episode, and I still need to watch it before it finishes, before the season starts. I don't know. I'm not willing to say yet. We don't really know. We don't have a Green Arrow as part of our system right now, so maybe Green Arrow exists, maybe he doesn't. I don't know. So yeah, very vague answer. I think it's just one of those things where. Or it's just like James Gunn is just like, it's clear that like the way he talks about it, it hasn't really dawned on him, and he has like a million things to talk about, a million things to do. So who the fuck knows if that's the case? So obviously we'll see. But I would love to see Green Arrow part of the DCU. Garrett Hedlund, maybe that would be wonderful. But now Green Arrow. Now, again, wow, I just can't talk because I see the image or I see the word, and that's what's in my head, even though my brain is like slower than my body or my lips are slower than my mind. Whatever. Anyway, I need to take a deep breath. What are your thoughts on this, guys? Green Arrow being in the DCU, would you love to see it? What would be your fan cast? Maybe we can do a fan cast Friday on it. We'll see. Just not this week because we already have 4 options set. But moving on to James Gunn talking about denouncing some stuff. But he's like, honest to God, waiting for this to come out across the world this week is like waiting for Christmas for me. I'm so excited and can't wait to share it with all of you. And this is a critic talking about how good the show is. They've seen 5 out of the 8 episodes of the narrative direction it takes shocked me. Just going on and on about a piece, and James Gunn being like, woohoo, yeah, great, awesome. But somebody asked him, hey, James, are we getting a 2-episode premiere this week? And nope, we are just getting the one. We are just getting 1 episode. It's not going to be like Alien Earth where we get 2 episodes, just the 1 episode. So, let me get rid of that. Of course, he's in the DCU. It's Green Arrow. He's also creative. Could get a small project. Easy crying. I'm so ready to see a movie version of Oliver Queen. I think everybody is. Gunn said all the super rumors were in Peacemaker's head. Obviously, name drop Green Arrow, new Green Arrow actor when they get him. Get ahead of scripts. Don't half-ass these things down the road. Obviously, Harry Goodwin's as Green Arrow. He looks the part. I don't want just a look. I want someone who can act the part. Green Arrow, Carrie Elwes. Honestly, maybe like 20 years ago, I could have seen it. Looks like he cosplayed to play Green Arrow. Yeah, whatever it is. But yeah, this is pretty cool to see. So it is confirmed that it's just 1 per week. But moving on to Superman side of things, give me the Arrow boxing glove. Yes, I would love to see it. But apparently the always great Lloyd Kaufman was apparently in Superman as a cameo. He's the one that gave James Gunn his start. So he was briefly in the movie for a hot sec. I think he's cameoed in some of James Gunn's other projects. So now, guys, we got to keep rewatching Superman. Just to find Lloyd Kaufman. Oh no, how sad. We have to rewatch this great movie over and over again until we can find Lloyd Kaufman, or probably someone has already found him. So although Real Slasher is interesting with our fan cast, with our amazing fan cast Friday poll that's still up. by the way. Just saying. Hope Power Girl makes an appearance in the DCU. So go vote on the poll, guys, please. Make Dan happy. But yeah, awesome. Now I got to rewatch it again to try and find Lloyd Kaufman. But I mean, he's in this scene, so maybe it's like something like around here. So, obviously we'll see. But this was saying that celebrating Superman out on digital and still in theaters. Check it out. But this was from when they wrapped filming. Or when this was from months ago, maybe even this was from I think last year. So TSS is it though? Solid B movie, but sure. But they are celebrating Superman out on digital and still in theaters. Check it out. Obviously. So check it out. But yeah, I remember this picture because we used this picture of James Gunn all the time on the thumbnails. So this is clearly from a good long while ago. But yeah, so this was just some of our, DC quick hits. Now we're getting into box office stuff. So, obviously we're going to start it with, Superman just being awesome and, just reminding people that it is now out on digital. And Superman flies home, but the box office tells an important story, the premium price for patience. And it's essentially talking about in this article that the idea of waiting for streaming and showcasing that like, because a lot of people I think were complaining okay. What? Remember Schneider? I think you mean Snyder said Gunn hated on set. This is AI. What are you talking about? I don't know what you're talking about. Anyway, so this was essentially just like an thing is people were obviously we've shit talked it. You guys have shit talked the idea of it coming to streaming so soon. And we'll see how this has any substantial effect on the continuing running of, because we are going to be getting into something a little bit later in regards to James Gunn talking about when it is going to be getting pulled from theaters. And obviously we'll see if that like becomes anything, but it's essentially, the premium prices, because a lot of people were complaining, oh, it costs like $30. Well, yeah, it's not going to go straight to HBO Max. It's going to cost like $20-$30 to be at home because it's still in theaters. You're still paying theaters, but if you're watching it with like 6 people, then like it evens out. But if you're watching it by yourself and you're not that big of a fan, you're like, oh, I'm going to wait, or you're going to ride the high seas, as many would say. But it just goes to show that, like, oh, I don't want to pay $30 for this, where it's like, well, you can go to the theater for half the price. Because even though movie tickets are expensive, like the average movie ticket's about like $15. It's still less than what it is you can buy and rent on streaming right now. So I think it's to rent is like $23 to $25 depending, and then $30 to buy it. So, it's but what do you M2G, what are you talking about in terms of AI? I'm still curious what you said about that. But yeah, but this being in theaters, and it's going to be in theaters for a good long while, so that's definitely very nice to see. But this is what I was talking about. Essentially, James Gunn has confirmed that, and you could see it like right here, that Superman will remain in theaters for a while. He said it's still in theaters for a while, but thanks to everyone for the compliments, much appreciated. And then somebody actually pointed this out, which I did want to talk about. It says, damn, if I knew it was this good, I would have seen it in theaters. Countless number of Superman fans this week. Yeah, because I can imagine that, like, oh man, this sounds really good. Because here's the thing, here's the enticing thing about streaming. It's like, I'm going to wait. I'm going to rent it. and then you see it, you're like, oh, I bet this is great on the big screen. Well, you can still go see it in the theater. So that's kind of the niceness of like not just going to streaming and only it being in streaming. Exactly. Yes. Yes. I mean, I agree. Okay. But it's nice to I was saying last week, Jeff Snyder said James Gunn was hated in the WB studio. The entire cast coming together to his house must be doctored. A joke, of course. Nice. But this is something because it's like it's still going to be in theaters for a while. So as I keep reiterating, it's most likely going to be like pulled out of theaters around the same time that it reaches physical, which is like September 23rd, maybe even a little bit after. Maybe it might even hit October. And it's, I think, GD Brent, I agree with him that like I think you're gonna have a lot of people who are like, man, I should have seen this in theaters because it was that good, and you're gonna, be like, because I get it. Like I get people that are like, there's like the enticement of like just waiting until streaming, and that's the sad part. But considering that you can still see it in theaters and you're going to be able to see it in theaters for at least another month, most likely, you could still see it in theaters. So that's the nice thing. So yes, movie Spud, it's very close to 600 million. I'm glad this at least get as much as you can from that box office. Still, movies are rushed. Yes, I agree. And I think James Gunn's reasoning is a little silly because yes, it is 595, 594, 595. Yes, it should get the 600 million by Friday. Exactly. Who doesn't want to see that? Who doesn't want to see fine dentistry from Superman? But yeah, I think this is a great thing to see. And we already talked about this, but it did overtake Spider-Man 3, just reminding you guys. And these are the top 5 highest grossing DC films at the domestic box office. The top 2 are there's 3 of them that are Batman related, but the top 2 are Dark Knight movies, then it's Wonder Woman, then it's the Batman, then it's Superman, because it's now currently at 340 million. So it's making money in theaters and on digital. Boom. Remember, I remember people have said this in the chat too. The merch specifically for this movie is probably through the roof. So, there's that too. But yeah, awesome to see. But remember guys, Superman 2025 is a flop. It's a flop, huge flop, because it didn't make as much as the Batman. So, it's flop, a huge flop, biggest flop ever, huge flop, this is the hugest flop, the biggest flop ever. I wouldn't have made a flop like this, biggest flop ever. So, just goes to show. Amen. Gunn's reason is silly. I'm old. LOL. I remember when movies were in theaters for months when you had to wait sometimes a year for the DVD. I remember like from what my parents talked about, you had to wait years, plural, for the VHS back in like the 80s. So it's like, be patient. But yeah, this is awesome to see. But remember, guys, Superman is still a huge flop, still the biggest flop ever. But yeah, I think as now we ease up on the jokes a bit, we ease up on just kind of calm everything down. Speaking of Superman, we are going to get into a little bit of sadder news because this happened over the weekend and we really wanted to talk about it. But the great Terrence Stamp, the original General Zod on the big screen, passed away at the age of 87. We did want to reference this. I know it's kind of a sad thing to talk about. Nobody wants to really talk about death, and always the saddest thing to see. But it's it was never, I don't think it was revealed on what he died of, but it's obviously we remember him for Superman. That's why we're doing this verse in DCU Daily. I remember initially loving his General Zod and then kind of not liking it, and then now I kind of love it because I think each version of General Zod offered something very original. Like he was kind of like the evil for the sake of evil General Zod, which I love to see. Like I love that. Like I want to take over the world because I'm more powerful than everyone. Because fuck you. So and he wants to revenge for Jor-El and all that stuff. So there's that. And he did live a nice long life. And then Colin Salmon was surprisingly really great in Krypton. He had this like authoritarian, like dictator kind of thing that I really liked. And then you had I've heard Callum Blue was very good in Smallville as like Colonel Zod or whatever the fuck it was, or like Captain Zod. But he then obviously Michael Shannon. I think he's the best out of the three that I've seen. But I feel like someone's joke. He is at the pearly gates. Replacement St. Peter. No, to enter you must kneel before Zod. Yeah, I heard he was really good. The Krypton show, it's a good show, but like it also ends. Yes, he was in that. Anyway, but still quite very sad to see. He did a wonderful job in many, many, many films. But General Zod specifically being one of the biggest ones. So, yeah, just kind of yes, it is a dour note. Yes, he very militaristic Zod. So yeah, I think very sad to see, but he lived a good life, so it's not too bad. Like it was 87, that was very nice, very long, so God rest his soul. But let's move on to the, happier things. Talking more about James Gunn. So going from General Terrence Stamp passing away to shirtless John Cena. What a segue. Anyway, thanks for that, Dan. Anyway, so James Gunn is now talking about obviously what is in store for Peacemaker in the future. So yeah, I think what Jim Carrey movie? I don't even know which one you're talking about. But yeah, so this from Gunn. This is no rumor, so it's specifically James Gunn. I think you're going to find out a lot this season of Peacemaker. This is a direct follow-up to Superman. Although it should be said it's not for kids, for adults. We kind of see where the DC universe is going, and we find out where it's heading from here. By the end of the season, there's a lot of surprises. In a separate interview, he teased that episode 6 to 8 of Peacemaker season 2 contained huge surprises, and that he intentionally left those episodes off of advanced screener copies, as we were talking about before. As this gentleman says, I've seen 5 of the 8 episodes. All that is pretty much confirmed here that he left off because there were so many surprises. So we'll obviously see. We call it the Tidy Whitey's trilogy between Suicide Squad, Peacemaker season 1, and Peacemaker season 2. Are we going to make it a quadrilogy? Possibly, we'll see. So obviously, we don't know yet if they are going to do a season 3. We'll see how season 2 is. But from the Rotten Tomatoes score and what the advanced screeners have been saying, that we might, be getting that season 3. So obviously, we will see in regards to what. But it seems like he has said this many times in interviews where it's like the future of the DCU is like not dependent on this show, but it's a big factor of like what we're going to be getting in this show and what the surprises are going to be and all that. So, yeah, I know a little bit. I think I read bits and pieces of Law back in the day. I think I read that in college. Yeah, essentially, yes, because in the comics he's a very straight-laced character. This is more of like a satirical, like kind of version, like almost making fun of the Peacemaker in the comics, which I don't love because this is the first iteration of the character. So I would have liked to have seen like more of an accurate portrayal. Same with, although Vigilante did, like, Prometheus was kind of an adaptation of Vigilante in Arrow, but I still would have liked to see a more true blue Vigilante. So, you know, he did. Yes. Ooh, hello. Yeah. But yeah, I think this is awesome. Great to see. And I love, you know, I would love to have this be like learning from the mistakes of the first season, hopefully creating something better. But I hope it's not just like nostalgia bait or future bait and sequel bait and all that stuff. But yeah. But this is Frank Grillo talking about, speaking of shirtless, hello there. You know, it's talking about Certified Fresh in regards to Peacemaker. And then he's like, I have some ideas, call me. And DC and James Gunn is on a roll. So guys, if you wanted to see shirtless Frank Grillo today, I'll just leave it there. Just leave it there. There you go. Unfortunately, Liz is not here to see this. There you go. There you go, guys. I hope you enjoyed that. There you go. I mean, we did get a bit from that trailer of Peacemaker getting beat up by Frank Grillo. So, you know, Rick Flag Sr. So we'll see. Maybe there's another one of just them like going like, it's like the end of the Northman where it's just like mano y mano and just like, but instead of naked, it's tighty whities. I mean, you know, you can admire from far away without it being like connected. Like, you know, I'm just saying. But still having those. I was saying before. DC Film News also saw the first 5 episodes, and they're going to be going until October. Obviously, this is going to be the release schedule, just going week by week. There's no breaks. There's no double episodes. Just 1 episode a week for the next 8 weeks. And we are going to be getting that first episode in 3 days, soon to be 2 days, because it's soon going to be the 19th free ball on the East Coast. But this Thursday, guys, obviously, we are going to be talking about it. We are going to be reviewing it. So stay tuned for that. We're also going to be reviewing Alien Earth, the 3rd episode this week. When is that coming out? Yes, we're gonna be reviewing both. I reviewed the first 2 episodes. We're gonna be, you know, that's gonna be tomorrow. Well, tomorrow, soon to be today. August 19th is, so we're gonna be also reviewing Alien Earth on Tuesday's show, along with doing Tier List Tuesdays. So nice, very tight schedule, almost as tight as John Cena's Tighty Whities. Anyway, but James Gunn reveals that he won't even allow, as we saw previously, because they won't even allow his publicist to see episodes 6 to 8 of Peacemaker because of the insane spoilery segments. So, you know, it just goes to show, like, good or not, like, I don't love Peacemaker as much as everyone else does. I think it's like an okay show. But like, it goes to show, like, I do admire the passion behind it. Like, this guy clearly loves what he does and loves doing this and loves this show, has a lot of faith in it, all that stuff. So, you know, you know, dye your hair. How's that for an idea? Oh, because honestly, it's just like, I think it's just animation versus not, like, obviously they're not going to be perfect 1-to-1 scales, and I think he even did say that he wanted to do gray hair, but he was filming a movie at the time, so he couldn't. So, you know, obviously, but yeah, this is very, you know, maybe there's an undress. Well, I hope that, you know, Jennifer Holland's Amelia Harcourt wears that one, so, you know, instead of Peacemaker. But, you know,
say that again.
There he is. I think it's just like he's like guarding the secret with his life kind of thing. Like it's just like there's so much stuff. I don't want anybody to fucking know. So it's just like, all right. Yeah, that's true.
The jabronis poking out the back of the tree. I'm just kidding. Hey, what's up? Hi, everybody. I am here. I have arrived.
All right, you fucking talk. I've been talking for like 94 minutes straight. You fucking talk now.
I have to catch up. Where are we? And hello, Patrick. Hello, Cool Easy. Enterprising. I saw Enterprising was the very first in the chat today, even before the show started. Tony's here. Of course, everybody's watching live. If you're not watching live, that's okay. We still appreciate you, but hit the like button. That's all we care about. Anyway. The Terrence Stamp thing, by the way, was a bit of a bummer. But as far as Peacemaker goes, John, we talked. You just mentioned it. It's right there on the screen. I'm wondering, like, obviously there's a big cameo in the show. Chances are it's going to be the end of the season, right? Like the season finale. But it can't be like, I don't know if it's so big. Is it Justice League big? Is it what I'm wondering? Because we don't have a Justice League in this universe, and what the closest thing we have to it, we already get him in the trailer. So I'm like, are we gonna? I don't know. That's yeah. So hey, MTG, I'm here, and Ron, hello. How are you doing?
All right, your grammar hasn't been 100% in the chat, so shut up. Anyway.
That's great. Yeah. See, what I also like about what James Gunn was saying is, I don't know if you've talked about this yet, John, but I think we're going to get to it in a bit. Hey, Jordan's here, of course. Is that this still?
Well, it wouldn't be that much of a big thing because we've gotten a fucking movie. I think he means like new stuff that we're getting. So,
yeah, I'm just wondering though. Do you want to take any guesses at it? Like, what are some of these spoilers in episode 6 to 8? Because like you said, a lot of the journalists who have had a chance to see the show a bit early, they have only been shown episodes 1 through 5.
Yeah, like this guy,
Brandon Davis, for example. Yeah, Brandon Davis, the guy who runs DC Film News, they've both seen episodes 1 through 5. So
yeah, he mentioned that right here.
But
yes,
yeah, I mean episode 6 to 8. I just wonder because you got to remember that Rotten Tomatoes score, that perfect Rotten Tomatoes score, at least the last time we checked, it was 100%. That comes from critics who have seen only episodes 1 through 5. So I do wonder if, like, the score might be a bit lower if they were to have seen, I don't know, episodes 6 through 8. Sorry, didn't mean to do that. But just wanted to identify myself. There you go, in case anybody new is watching. But yeah, John, do you care to? Oh, actually, no, it's dropped now. Oh no, is that season 1? Oh,
that's season 2. Hang on, I can't find. Hang on.
I think you have to click through somewhere. It's weird. If you go back to the page for Peacemaker, you have to kind of click through and look for like season 2 seasons. You see the go up, hit seasons, and season 2 details.
So it did go down slightly. It's 97 now.
You zoom in a little bit because it's hard to.
How
sorry. Many is that? 30
I'm not used. We didn't have this set. No. So of course, like this, the series may admirably connect the dots, but the results are patchy. So he gave it like a 2.5, which is like that's like a 6 or a 7. That's still positive. So I don't fucking know.
I'm
so
okay
that one asshole fucking gave it a rotten score and brought this whole fucking thing down.
God damn it!
Fucking asshole. Fuck you, Justin Clark. Had to ruin everything with your fucking mediocre fucking review. Get out of here. Get out of here.
But I know that if you go back to the other slide though, like with what is so spoilery, and I think the cameo is something that we wanted to get an idea of.
It could be
what do you guys think? Like Daily Planet crew, I don't think is such a big one, bigger than Superman at this point. Like, well, but that's the thing though. So you guys saying Aquaman? I mean, Aquaman would be really out there. I think that would be taking that emoji really literally. Yeah, that would be crazy because if you remember, the beginning of the end of James Gunn as a co-DC Studio CEO. At the end of The Flash, remember they kept reshooting just hear me out on this for a second. At the end of The Flash, remember they reshot the ending, the post-credit scene multiple times.
They had 5 different endings for that shit.
Yeah, like I mean, they had 3 different Batman. They had an ending with Michael Keaton's Batman. They had an ending with Ben Affleck's Batman. Remember, Ben Affleck went back and shot that thing. There was a chance that Ben Affleck might have been the Batman at the end of that movie. And then ultimately they ended up with George Clooney. That's 3 Batman endings. And then there was like the post-credit scene where Aquaman is like drunk, and then Barry's like sort of, carrying him off in the streets of whatever, I think it was Gotham or whatever, or Central City. And they're like, I go to all this universe and like we're like the only common, like we're the same. And I'm like, no, I know that Jason Momoa is Lobo, but I'm like, is there an outside chance that they pay off that post credit scene and that's how we get the Fuck You Barry Part 2? I am trying to connect some wild dots.
You know what, mate?
You know?
Here's the thing. It could be Lobo. Here's the thing. Like because I remember,
but
Jason
he said the
Momoa
same
was
thing.
like,
Yes,
it seems like he like if we're going back to that whole thing that was supposedly about Shark Week, but now it's like about that.
Mhm.
Technically, Lobo was the first character ever character ever cast in the new DCU with Jason Momoa, because that was from years ago.
I guess, yeah.
So that was like 2023, 2024. So that was like way before. So it's entirely possible that like he secretly like filmed something for this while, because obviously Jason Momoa was cast. Like we know that now. In hindsight, Jason Momoa was cast, and then he has Supergirl. So I'd like to imagine. Plus, it makes sense. Lobo is a very like satirical, comedy-driven character.
Lobo is
much
DC
like
Jesus.
Peacemaker, although Lobo is way fucking better than John Cena's Peacemaker. I will tell you that right now. But I think
that's a great call out.
I'm gonna take a guess that it's Lobo. That's that one of or the cameo is Lobo.
But okay, so I hear you on that, but I do wonder if like that final cameo is going to be, I don't know, like some kind of callback to the first season. Because that whole Fuck You Barry be nice to, not that it needs a payoff, but I'm just saying it's also like how spoilery are we getting? Like, is Darkseid gonna poke out of the doors of Apocalypse? Is kind of like what we got at the end of the Snyder Cut? Like, are we gonna get all of a sudden we realize that Zack Snyder's Justice League is semi-canon to this universe? Now we're going out in very different directions. Nightwing, I don't know how Nightwing would make any sense. Ron saying the Aquaman post-credit scene for The Flash is the worst post-credit scene I've ever seen in a superhero movie. Wait, are you talking about the one with okay, you're talking about the Aquaman one, right? Okay, yeah. For a second I thought you might have meant the George Clooney one, because that was hilarious. James gonna want you to see Superman before Peacemaker. He wants you to see Peacemaker before the next movie. He's keeping things. He is, but you know what? He also keeps saying, John. Actually, let's kind of go forward a little bit, because we I don't know if you've talked about this yet, right? Because James gonna actually addresses that point, the idea of like connectivity, and at the same time allowing people to be able to watch one project and not necessarily worry about having seen every single thing that they put out, right? So there's going to be connectivity, but it's not going to be to the point where you need to do your homework to get, to watch Lanterns or to watch Supergirl. Like, you don't have, which James can also admitted that you can't keep doing that forever. Like, you'll get to a point where, you might have to watch the previous 2 Superman movies to get, the latest one. So the Peacemaker would be the big cameo. Game Freakness. So who are the 4 people on the Peacemaker photo here? Which one is Peacemaker? I don't know. You tell me. I mean, clearly, I don't see it. Like, it's you got Jennifer Holland as Hardcore, Danielle Brooks, I forgot her character name, Freddie Stroma as Vigilante. Well, she's like, daughter of Waller. Then you got Steve G, of course, playing John Economos. There is an odd gap in the middle, and then there's an eagle standing off to the side.
And that's what we have to play before we get demonetized. Just breaking up the stupid fucking jokes. Anyway.
Okay. All right. Where are we at? Let's keep on going, John. We've got a couple more things with Peacemaker.
But yeah, we were talking about this before. Brandon Davis of DC Film News. We already covered that, so let's move the fuck on. So, let me scroll. I forgot to scroll in on all the thread stuff. My bad. Anyway, So I don't know what the original post was because I think it's no longer available. But
he might have been doing a Q&A, like sometimes. Yeah,
because I think he's going over like the people that are be giving negative reviews, like it's probably about Dean Cain because he's the one that said the term redneck when talking about Ma and Pa Kent. So he's like, although I resent the term redneck, it's the same reason I don't have the same accent my parents do. You go to college in a different city, you get mocked for it, and you train yourself out of it little by little. And then Dyrrbl, Dyrrbl, with a very cute puppy in his picture. Saying something that's not even close to what the original post was. I know Peacemaker season 2 follows up on the stuff from Superman, but would you say that you could still watch season 1 and season 2 on their own without watching Superman? Yes, for sure. We explain everything. Just more fun to also watch Superman. Yeah. So like, obviously you don't have to. It's not homework, Kevin. But you could just watch it, but not have to worry about Superman. But it's like, why wouldn't you want to watch Superman? What are you, a fucking Snyder cultist? Come on. Get the fuck out of here.
I was gonna mention, because I obviously I joined the show late. I bought Superman on digital the other day, so I did fork out the $30. So yeah, I'm looking forward to checking it out at home, and all the exclusive stuff most of the exclusive stuff they've put online anyway at this point. But
yeah,
there's still the director's commentary and a few other things that you can check out. So that is not available for free on YouTube or wherever else they've put it out. Well, Batman? I guess it depends, Patrick. That's a good question. A bit of a side quest question, but who can play an older Bruce Wayne? Well, probably whoever plays the Bruce Wayne in the DC continuity eventually becomes an older Bruce Wayne. So, but until
damn straight,
to do with Elseworlds,
damn straight.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Here's the thing. This was me with Top Gun Maverick. I got it on digital, then I got the Blu-ray Steelbook, which is back there. I'm literally pointing at it. And then I also watch it on Paramount Plus. So they'll get me on all the different pay windows. Don't you worry. But I mean, not everybody will get it on digital if they can wait for the Blu-ray. If you already have your pre-order for the Blu-ray Steelbook, then by all means. Well, Kevin Conroy already did that. He already played that older Bruce Wayne in the TV version. I don't think they would have brought him onto the.
We don't talk about that.
Yeah. That was rather forgettable. But anyway, I do appreciate what James Gunn is saying here, is that it would give you a greater sense of appreciation for Peacemaker and some of the references if you have seen season 1 and if you have seen, of course, Superman, but you don't need to have seen everything. And that's what I like about this, because it seems like so far they've been able to, and Marvel did, to Marvel's credit, John, for phases 1 through 3, there's very few movies that Marvel put out, and then obviously they weren't really doing TV shows at the time, where you felt lost. Like if you went into the second Ant-Man movie, you still sort of more or less knew what was going on. Or if you watched Thor, but you didn't see the first one, you saw the Dark World first. Like they gave you nice entry points. Like the Guardians of the Galaxy movies also did not require you to have seen everything that came before it. Iron Man 2 was connected to Iron Man 1. Iron Man 3 was more connected to the Avengers, but it wasn't like, you watch Iron Man 1, 2, and 3 and skip the Avengers that you would completely be lost as to what was going on, because they did flashbacks and they use other storytelling techniques to give you the ability to catch up. I also think something that Marvel hasn't done, that DC hasn't done, but they could do, and maybe Marvel as well. John, if you get into a situation where you have to put out a movie such as a Captain America Brave New World, again, a Marvel movie in this case, but I think that's the pertinent example here. If you need to do something like that, where all of a sudden people need to remember the story threads from an Incredible Hulk movie that is like 15 years old, as well as like Eternals that nobody wanted to see, and the fact that you need to follow along with Falcon and Winter Soldier, a Disney Plus show that not as many people saw, kind of like what they did in the Incredible Hulk, actually, where they had this opening sequence montage that was in the opening credits. You sort of get a recap of the events, because we didn't technically get an origin story for the Hulk in the MCU. We just got a montage at the beginning of the Incredible Hulk. And there wasn't even really any dialogue other than maybe a few news reel sound bites. So you could do something like that, or you can even do previously in the DCU, previously in the world of DC or whatever. And then like with the tune, I think that's a great idea. Like, I think James Gunn is more of an outside of the box thinker, enough of an outside of the box thinker to give that a shot. And that would be the more obvious way of doing it. If you do it more like a cinematic montage, like they did in Incredible Hulk, that could work too.
Hello.
Or honestly, just get like Michael Pena and give him his Luis spiel. I mean, Marvel can easily do that. Like, just bring him back and let him recap everything leading up, or everything that is important to the thing you're watching.
Apparently, they did film something as like everything preparing up until Endgame, but it was never released. And we're like, Kevin Feige released the
such
Pena
a
cut.
lost opportunity. Put it in the Blu-ray extras.
We got the Snyder cut of
Take
Daniel
my money,
Grohl
you know?
dancing in Falcon and the Winter Soldier. We couldn't get Luis. Come on now.
Yikes! You saw Eternal for a birthday, Tony?
Fun fact. You know what I almost saw for my birthday, but then I realized the director at the last second, so I never saw it. Was After Earth. I almost saw that for my birthday.
Oh, dude, that you dodged. And
the bullet.
You dodged the bullet.
I dodged a bullet. However, you know what? I also
unlike Jaden Smith, who didn't dodge the bullet in the movie, and you actually I think you got bit by an ancient dinosaur. Anyway, go ahead.
But I did see Green Lantern for one of my birthdays. I liked it when I first watched it because I had no I don't know. I was stupid back then, so it was just like nothing. But I enjoyed it for the time. But you can't see me. But yeah. I'm eating Bunch of Crunch, by the way, because I got it from the movie, and I'm like, I want candy for later, so I'm gonna buy candy at the movie theater. So I used my points, so I didn't have to pay for it, so it's fine.
That's good.
Anyway.
Okay. All right. Well, let's keep on going. All right. I started. Okay. Oh, I saw Quantum of Solace, and you're okay. Nice. That was good. Yes, I am back. And thank you, Stephen. How are you doing? My weekend was busy. But I went to a birthday dinner party. So, that's also true. Credits, animated flashback. Yes, that could work, Tony. That could work. A cinematic montage, previously on montage. I would take it all. Like, we actually used to do that. Like, we had this segment called "What Would Andrew Say" when we had an Andrew on the show. Your screen just went dark, John. But what we used to do with that is we would have him go watch a movie, and then the following week he would review it, and we would just be like previously on, and then we would have like a little montage, and then anyway. If you guys search back to what Andrew Say, you could find what I mean on the channel. Not DC related, but I saw Weapons today, and I gave it an 8 out of 10. Says Ron. That's really good. I think a lot of people give it an 8 out of 10. That's why it's made like $150 million already in 10 days of release, which is fantastic. My birthday is November 6th. All right. Well, happy early birthday, but I'm sure we'll be talking about it on November 6th. So MCU movies and Bond movies were always getting released. Yeah, no, absolutely, man. It's and this year you got Wicked coming up around that time. So Wicked for good. I was going to say part 2, but that doesn't sound right. Yeah. Future Commandos. Okay. All right, John, let's go on to what Ron was mentioning, because I think you moved on and I did.
Sorry, I accidentally clicked the wrong link.
It's all good. But look at this. A Creature Commandos, still sitting with a 95% Rotten Tomatoes score, certified fresh. Superman, we know, with an 83% is a third certified fresh. The only thing Marvel seems to have over Superman this year in the comic book genre is that Fantastic Four is the highest rated. Like, every time I see one of those ad spots, it's the highest rated superhero movie of the year by 3 points, like 86%. But 86, 83, potato, tomato, since those two things are long distance cousins. That's a callback to another show.
Right.
But yeah,
although
Superman
it's not 100% anymore, it is season 2 is
Peacemaker,
at 97 because one douchebag had to fucking leave a bad review.
Is it that guy? We don't like that guy. Creature Commandos is goated. Hello, Watcher. You love Creature Commandos, so do we. Enterprising saying Gunn's record with superhero content is only outmatched by the quality of Nolan's Dark Knight trilogy, as far as I'm concerned, and I'm perfectly okay with that take. I think the Dark Knight trilogy is still superior, but James Gunn's Guardians trilogies, those are pretty good too. Speaking of which, MCU trilogies is one of the tier list options. It's currently the third highest voted or the second least voted option, so it looks like we're not going to be doing that tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
But hey, Movie Spud, we agree with you. Those are great scores. The lowest is in 83. And that's simply because that movie has like almost 400 reviews from critics. So the score does average down a little bit more. But 83 out of like almost a 500 review sample size is really good for a movie that has made, as much money as it has. No, it's not make $1 billion, but dude, there's only one movie this year that made $1 billion and another that came close. There's only 3 Hollywood movies that have gone past 800 million this year. So Superman getting to around 600 million, much like F1, that's a bigger accomplishment that maybe we are realizing, because it is the new norm. And to have an 83% Rotten Tomato score at Certified Fresh, and even with a 97%, John, Peacemaker is doing just fine. In fact, the DCU is doing just fine. They're certified fresh overall. Even if you average all those numbers, you're probably going to end up with a number of somewhere around like the high 80s, low 90s. That's not bad at all. It's going to be interesting to see where that number is after Supergirl comes out, when Lanterns comes out. But John, based on the track record so far, I don't imagine that's going to change too much. Although you got to wonder, because the one thing between all 3 of these projects that's common is James Gunn was heavily involved. He wrote all 3 of them. He directed 2 out of the 3, and he was a pretty big time producer level, involved with all 3 of them. So I do wonder how that's going to affect, like, when we get a Craig Gillespie project where, James Gunn might have cast our Supergirl, but he really didn't do much more than that. He gave the green light on the script and stuff. Then again, he's working closely on the Batman.
Now let's see Paul Allen's.
Yeah. So that's going to be the key, though, John. I think it's going to be interesting to see when James Gunn is not directing or writing everything. How well do those DC projects do? Because that's really where his mettle as a producer, as the co-CEO, will be tested. Like, can you, basically ensure the level of quality you're able to put out yourself with other storytellers and filmmakers, while letting them be expressive with their own unique styles and storytelling techniques, kind of like what Kevin Feige has been doing for like 2 decades now. Because yes, despite the recent ups and downs of the MCU, Kevin Feige has never directed anything. He's always produced it. He's always been like the puppet master. Like, can James Gunn be that good as a puppet master rather than just writing, directing himself, which he's great at? But yeah, I mean, we know he's going to be, I think it's about time we move on to the next topic, because we know James Gunn is not going to be sitting back working as just a co-CEO for very much longer, because he's already busy at work with his next movie in the franchise. So, hey, Jose, how are you doing? I'm doing good. I don't know. Have you been watching for a while? If you have, then hit the like button. If you haven't already, I'm sure you already have, but we appreciate that. Yeah, $500 million should be the benchmark, whatever the budget. I mean, it's also a matter of like, they shouldn't be spending like $300 million making these movies unless it's a guaranteed $1 billion hit.
Whoa!
Like, Apple spent $250 million on F1 plus marketing. F1 is not going to be profitable at the box office, but it's made way more money than people were expecting it to. Adrian's here. Hello, Adrian. How are you doing? James Gunn has Peter Safran as well. Yeah, he does. That's true. So, I mean, I'm not saying it's all going to be a reflection of James Gunn's, work in terms of ensuring quality productions that he's not writing and directing. But of course, as the co-CEO, he will be held accountable for the bad times as well as the good, right alongside Peter Safran. So, Burton has a sets animated too. I get what you're saying with, yes. Okay. All right. So, John, with that, let's get into the main event of the show today, which of course is the thumbnail telling you guys James Gunn apparently is much further along with his pseudo semi-Superman sequel that is more of a super family movie that, he's talked about in vague terms now for weeks and months, and will probably do for weeks and months more. But according to recent rumors and reports, and from James Gunn himself talking about it, we might be getting this movie a lot sooner than we expect. In fact, John, we might be getting this movie before we get the Batman Part 2. We might be getting this movie before we get GTA 6. But actually,
we got a lot of things before GTA 6. To be fair,
we got a lot of things. But it's one of the, it would be truly memeable content, and there will probably be memes when the next James Gunn super family movie comes out before the Batman Part 2, because people will be like, we got that before we come at
James Gunn built 2 of these in a cave, and you fucking took you 1 script to fucking make it in the amount of time he made 2 movies.
Yep. Hi, Antonio. And Adrian saying digital is going to bring it some major profit to the charts or any indicator. Yeah, no, absolutely. Superman is doing great so far. I bought it on digital recently. I'm going to buy the deep Blu-ray as well. So, yeah, Batman. Okay, you know what, Antonio, and that's a really good point. So let me kind of like walk us through this piece of news. James Gunn recently was on a podcast, and he's mentioned that he's looking to start shooting that Superman sequel, which again is not a Superman direct sequel, but is a super family movie that has Superman in a big role. You know, blah blah blah. It looks like he's going to be scheduling it already. He's already working on scheduling it with Peter Safran, we were talking about just a moment ago. Yes, Watcher, we have talked about that before. Antonio saying this will only help the box office, and if Brainiac is in the movie, that damn wheel is going to help the box office. You know, well, we might be actually doing a fan casting for Brainiac tomorrow, because currently, actually, no, on Friday, because currently it's in the lead. Actually, we'll go over that towards the end of the show. We'll see where the numbers are at, John. Yeah, but James Gunn's work ethic is pretty crazy. You're definitely right there. No, maybe he's on a few good weeks of sleep, and he's like, that's enough sleep for me. Now I'm just gonna get back to writing 600 pages again. Absolutely agree with you there, Andrew, or Adrian, I should say. James Gunn did say this, Sean. If you kind of zoom into this, and we have a couple of different
we'll zoom into this
links. Yes, please do enhance. We're scheduling it now, said James Gunn. I'm totally done with the treatment. He's talking about, of course, this upcoming semi-sequel to Superman, saying, my treatments are incredibly intense. They are not regular treatments. They are 60-page treatments with dialogue and everything. So usually, if you guys are not familiar with what a treatment is for a movie, it's basically you write out what happens in the film. You talk about the characters, but what you don't necessarily do is write the script out where you say, Bob says, there's your uncle, like, you know, whatever. Like, it's, you don't do that, and then you say, and you know, then Jenna walks in the scene and slaps Bob. Like, you don't, it's not a script, but it's like paragraphs. So but sometimes the treatments are pretty vague and, you know, very high level. Whereas James Gunn's saying, and John, if you go back to this statement, that I want to finish reading off what he said. He said his are much more intense. Like, he has dialogue in it, like some key things, like, oh gosh darn, I could be such a jerk sometimes, like, you know, and Superman said that and walked off screen, and there's other things in there. So James Gunn has gotten himself to a point with the story now, with this new movie, where he feels like, hey, before he even finishes the script, I mean, while he starts writing the script, he's saying, and so I'm just turning that into the script, the treatment. He's already starting to schedule things out. He's planning, he's doing like a little bit of pre-production, saying we're planning out when we're going to shoot that. It's going to be much sooner rather than later.
Exactly.
And this is something that most studio directors don't get a chance to do. Yes, exactly, Watcher. Because they will have to then run it by the studio heads and then get an approval, get a budget together, you know, have the script be combed through by line producers who will then tell you how much, you know, each part of the movie is going to cost you. Like if you have a needle drop somewhere, like, all right, well, how much is it going to cost us to license that song? Oh, we're planning on shooting on Times Square. Great. How are we going to do that? Are we going to do that on the soundstage? Like, that's what line producers do. All that stuff happens in pre-production. And none of that can happen before the studio greenlights the movie. And this is where James Gunn is in a unique position, because he's a co-CEO, so he can literally just skip a few of those steps, because he's like, I'm the guy in charge. I'm going to greenlight this thing unless Peter Safran says this is terrible, which it looks like he hasn't. But John, I want to get your take on this. What do you think about the idea that James Gunn has already moved this far along? He's working on the script, but he's so sure this thing is going to move forward the way he's planned it that they're already starting to schedule production on this movie.
I mean, I think it's awesome. I think it goes to show, like, James Gunn's like, you know what? I'm in Superman mood again. I'm gonna fucking make this outline. I'm gonna make it this treatment. I'm making this script. We're scheduling. Let's fucking go. Who needs sleep? No sleep till Brooklyn. So, you know, it's just he just there, no sleep till Gotham. Let's go with that. No sleep till Gotham. So, you know, it's just like, I don't think he sleeps. I just, you know, I think we're just at a point of, like, I don't believe it. I don't think I think he is a 1 in a trillion. You know, he might be a fae. Like, at this point, he's just like doing whatever the fuck he wants on Earth. He's just fucking with us mortals, and he's just like doing whatever the hell he wants, and he doesn't get sleep. His face don't need sleep. So, you know what?
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that's what I'll stick to my story.
Yeah, Gunn writing Peacemaker while he was on his honeymoon was a little. I was like, I don't know if you want to try that more than once or twice, because eventually, that's gonna end up the way I guess his first marriage did. Anyway, figure drawing saying John plus energy drinks. Oh yeah.
No, just a sugar rush. That's all.
Yeah. Hi, figure drawing.
I'm gonna
But you know
crash
what?
later. It's
MTG
fine.
making a good point here, because I think again here's the thing: we give him praise when he deserves it, but we should also criticize or at least question certain things when it seems a little hypocritical of Gunn. For example, James Gunn has mentioned many a times that we're not going to green light anything until there's a finished script. And the way he's talking about this treatment is like it's a done deal. Like it's already green lit. He's talking about scheduling it. He's moving forward with it, into pre-production in some ways, and he's working on the script right now. So, I mean, MTG making the good point that he's greenlighting a treatment. John, do you think James Gunn is sort of contradicting himself and his stated philosophy that he likes to espouse every other week and tell us every time, like, we don't greenlight on anything until it's a finished script, including something like Brave and the Bold, where he's like, technically it's not greenlit because the script is still being worked on, and yet this movie that he's working on himself is basically greenlit. I read this because I know you could say semantics, but I'm like, really, like, it feels a little contradictory. What do you think? Especially when he's like taking shots at Marvel for doing the same thing essentially with their product.
I think it's just like he knows himself and he can say like, yeah, this is essentially greenlit because he can't control other writers or directors or anything like that. He knows himself. He's writing and directing the movie. I know that I'm gonna keep writing this until it's up to snuff, and I have a good idea of when that will be. And I think that means something. Sorry, just interesting. I think that means something, and I think that it shows that like he's confident in himself that he'll create a worthwhile product because he can't control other people. He can control himself, and he knows what's up. So I'm just saying.
No, which is fair, but I'm just saying it's sort of. I mean, yes, that's obviously he's in kind of the implication here for James Gunn is like, yeah, because I'm the one writing it, so like I've already kind of made some of those decisions in my mind, and I just hope that it never gets to a point. Yes, Adrian, that is a good point there. But I just don't. I hope we never get to a point with James Gunn where it's like he's drinking too much of his own Kool-Aid, if you know what I mean, right? Like you don't want to be high on your own supply to the point where it affects the quality of the work. So I think the pressure only builds on him, and it's. I hope that there's plenty of people like who are not just yes men. I know there's plenty of people that he's got in his creative team, the writers' room, per se of the DCU, who will call him out on things if they don't think it's going to work, because you have to deliver, right? Like when you're and then he talks about it publicly. Like he's like, yeah, I already got the treatment and we're working on turning this into a script. And then, we're going to go shoot that. We're planning it out already. We're practically scheduling it. So yeah, but hey, as far as the timeline for all of this, Sean, if you move on to the next thing, we actually, I think, have a longer version of James Gunn's statement talking about this very thing. And that gives us a better idea of what he said and some of the nuances of it as well. So if you want to go to the next post, I wanted to kind of walk through that Instagram. Oh, there we go. And if you zoom in on this, he and then again, the first part of it is kind of what we already talked about, that we're planning out when we're going to go shoot that. It's going to be so much sooner rather than later. And then if you scroll down a little bit on this post, this is from the Happy Sad Confused podcast, where he did confirm a while ago that, hey, Brainiac was seriously considered as a main villain in the early drafts for this potential sequel. Now, of course, we know Brainiac has never appeared in a live action movie, Superman movie, or
I think he's
Superman
saying
Batman movie.
Brainiac was considered for this movie. I think that's what he was saying.
Okay, but
he says
well, even
was
then,
seriously considered as the main villain in early drafts. That's the vibe I'm getting.
Enough.
So,
but given that he was already, I mean, I think I can ask the same question still. Do you think we can get Brainiac in this potential sequel, or Mr. and Miss Spitlick, or we know Bizarro Superman we have theorized about, and even Ultraman? Obviously, we have seen Ultraman, and they called him Ultraman. but maybe we can get
that makes me
alternative
jump
Ultraman.
every time I watch the movie. Like, no
So-
matter how many times Ultraman hitting his nuts is just like, huh? Sweet Jesus, I can't get used to that.
Not the nards. But what do you think, John? Do you think we're gonna go in the direction of Brainiac? Or we're bringing back Ultraman?
I hope
as
so,
Bizarro
because we've
Superman?
almost gotten him so many times. We almost, not just this, but even in the sequel to Superman Returns, we almost got Brainiac. Allegedly, Michael Dougherty did a script, and allegedly we got Brainiac. So it's just like this is like the white whale of canceled Superman movies. Is just Brainiac unable. The only time we've technically seen Brainiac on the big screen is in that fucking 2-bit part of Nick Cage in The Flash, which barely even counts. So, that's all we got. And this is a character that's so much bigger than that, so much better than that. And the fact that we haven't gotten him, like, I understand, like, maybe in like the 80s and that kind of thing, but like the fact that we didn't get him in like the 90s and that shit was just like, just lame. I like Lex Luthor, but lame. Anyway. But in terms of other characters, Gunn clarified that Mr. Mxyzptlk was never considered for the film, even though Superman's dimensional imp
I was
line
muted
seemed
there.
like a direct nod. Then Gunn told EU that, or EW, that Lex took Ultraman out of the oven a little too soon, causing physical distortions, a likely tease for Bizarro's eventual emergence. Gunn hasn't confirmed if Ultraman will return, but said he's thinking about where he's going and what he's going to do next. Kevin Feige messaged Gunn after the film's release saying he wants to see Bizarro. I mean, yeah, I think that's and there's also another thing that's like, it might not be like a super family, it's Superman versus the Authority, which is, could be the case of like reworking that Authority movie, which could also work. Maybe it's Superman and Supergirl versus the Authority. I could see that working, but it's just like, give us fucking Bizarro, man. Like, Jesus Christ. So yeah, black coffee, caffeine pills, Kool-Aid, all that shit.
That's a horrible combination of ingredients, but
and just like, and then it's like a Nightmare on Elm Street 3 where they're just chewing coffee grounds. Good times.
Yikes. Okay, but you know what? Regardless of which way we go with the villain, what I was most impressed and concerned and I'm still a little skeptical about is the timeline, right? Like right on the thumbnail, we were talking about the release date potential for this upcoming semi-Superman quasi sequel. If you go to that, I think I saw this on Facebook, and it seems like a little bit more speculation. So this is the quote about the treatment, where he's mentioned that he's already working on scheduling when they're going to start filming it. But if you go to the next thing after this, John, this isn't confirmed, and the source, I couldn't corroborate the source on this too much. So I would take it with a bit of a grain of salt, but it would track with James Gunn's track record, that if they're already working on planning how they're going to film this, and maybe in the early stages of pre-production, despite the fact that the script isn't done yet, but it will be probably soon, considering how quick James Gunn writes. Do you believe the idea that they will potentially start filming, like expected to film in early 2026, which I might remind you, the last we heard from David Zaslav, James Gunn's boss, the Batman Part 2 is expected to start filming in spring of 2026, which would also count as early 2026. And the Batman Part 2 isn't set to come out till October 2027. And I know a bunch of you guys have been mentioning it's almost never been the case that you get both a Superman and a Batman movie in the same year. So it would really be a special year for DC. And so do you think a July 2027 release date for this quasi Superman sequel, like, is it believable? Because then obviously the Batman Part 2 would come out in October of the same year.
Maybe. If they do really just fucking crank it out super quickly, then I could see that happening. And it's just like, it's funny to me that, like, within the span of those years, it's like we get 2 Superman movies and then 1 Batman movie, like, just taking all, it's just like, it's funny to me. It's just like, you know what it reminds me of? It's like Matt Reeves is like George R.R. Martin, and like James Gunn is like Stephen King. He just fucking cranks out like 16 scripts and is like totally fine. And then well, at least with the difference with the Batman Part 2, the script was actually finished, George. So there is that. Matt Reeves has that one up on the fat ass who can't fucking put a pencil to paper like every other fucking writer on planet Earth. I understand writer's block. I understand all that shit, but like fucking do your job, you fucking loser. Anyway, J.R.R. Tolkien didn't fucking deal with this shit. Anyway, but it's just I would find that to be kind of funny, but like I could see it working, but I think that might be a little bit too wish fulfillment-y. So we'll see where we are at the end of 2025 first, and then we'll talk about that.
Yeah. It's also, I think one of you guys were making a point that it's kind of like a strike while the iron's hot kind of a situation, where James Gunn is just out there talking about this publicly and making it pretty clear that there's something else already on the way. And obviously he works a lot faster than, Matt's slow, like in James Gunn's own words. It would be wild to think that James Gunn has put out 2 big budget Superman or Superman related movies before Matt Reeves has put out 1 Batman movie. But a good question from Patrick saying, do you think it will be a while before we see Zod again? I mean, speaking of Terrence Stamp passing away over the weekend, the original Zod, we got a Michael Shannon General Zod, which I thought was one of, if not the best villains we got in the entire DCEU. But it's been like 12 years, and I don't really count the Flash version of Michael Shannon Zod because he was a caricature of himself in there. Do you think we'll get a
caricature? He fucking slept through that performance. Not like he gave it. She's like, paycheck, cool. Yeah, just like, I'll get you. All right, where paycheck? Thank you. And then just leaves.
But it's a good question though, right? From Patrick. I mean, and yeah, Adrian saying it could be a tribute to Terrence Stamp, a version of Zod. I mean, I guess it would depend on what iteration or what version. Obviously, the new actor, whoever plays a new version of Zod, would do their best to honor the script that they're working with. But do you think we can get Zod in the sequel? Do you think we get other Kryptonian villains? Because so far,
I hope not. We've already gotten that twice. We haven't seen that. We've already gotten that twice. We don't need to see that for a bit. I want to see Brainiac. Give me Brain. Plus, it's like if it is a super, because it's not confirmed, like totally 100% confirmed that it is a Superman and Supergirl team up.
Mm-hmm.
Like maybe it is. Maybe if it is. Like, how many Kryptonians are we gonna fucking see in this goddamn movie? And plus, like, what's Zod's plan? Because it's like Jor-El was the asshole here. What, Zod's like, I'm not gonna take over the Earth.
No, but it's just like it's the perspective thing, right? Like it's like they could, because even in Superman 2 and even in Man of Steel, they showed that, and it's always been part of the whole thing that it's like yin and yang. They do agree on some things. They're not polar opposites. Like there is if you were to draw a Venn diagram in terms of the belief system of Zor-El and General Zod, there is an overlap. It's just that in some areas they don't agree, and obviously, that's where the conflict comes from. So I do wonder if they go that direction. You could still show a Zod that is more evil than a Jor-El, and yet at the same time, it doesn't feel, like. Well, I guess it's there's levels to this game. Like, he maybe makes us more
I will find
him.
Anyway.
I will find him. Like, I honestly, Hosea, one of the best performances of any actor.
Yeah, I mean, that line was fucking stupid, but like, great performance though. Like, best part of the movie.
Every time I point out in the script, it probably said it 4 times, and it's like, oh wow, like what are you gonna do with that? And then an average actor's hands,
and then that doesn't just screaming like a maniac, and then going up in the penis rocket, just like...
but Michael Shannon, like, look, that's one of the best moments of Man of Steel, and shows you how good of an actor Michael Shannon is. Hey, where the Cape saying he just needs to do the whole movie in Candor and Superman and Supergirl and Lobo. Well, I guess it will depend on the story and what we see in the Supergirl movie that's coming out next year.
Right.
I will find him. There you go. Where's Walt?
Just like staring at the book.
I'm surprised that's not more of a meme. We need to load that up as a clip that we can
That
use.
could be interesting. I don't know how,
That would
but
be
it's just
great.
like I feel like it's twisting Zod and like, oh, Zod's the good guy,
Yeah,
and it's
good
just like
theory,
I don't
Adrian.
know if I like that.
Yep. Yeah, if you did flip the script, like you said, Adrian, and made Zod sort of the nice guy. Oh, well, no, I was watching one of these animated Justice League movies the other day because like they have them all for free now on YouTube, and it's the one where they're like living this alternate reality. I don't think I actually finished it, or maybe I fell asleep towards the end of it. It's where like Batman is like Dracula basically, and Superman lands like in Mexico, and anyway, it was like a whole thing. And the Lex Luthor is older, so you could do an alternate version of things. You don't have to make everything the definitive iteration from the comics. These are adaptations in the cinematic universe. Hey, Smaggy. Okay, well, that's a good theory about Brainiac. We have talked about that before. Not right, but self-righteous. Well, that's Zod has always been that, Adrian. He overacted in those parts of the movie. I don't know, MTG. I think Michael Shannon did great.
Well, here's the thing: Gods and Monsters, it worked for Justice League Gods and Monsters because it was an Elseworld story. It's not like a main thing, so that's why I'm like,
that was the one.
Yeah. Justice League Gods and Monsters probably the best Justice League movie we've ever gotten. So, like, trust me, Gods and Monsters fucking excellent, but it works as that specific like kind of vibe.
I don't think it works as like your mainline, like your primary iteration, right? Yeah, and everybody pointing it out. Yeah, Bruce Timm classic. Thank you guys. Angelica is here. Very interesting release date for Superman. All right, so John, actually, we have more detail. We can even get more granular with this release date speculation, like Angelica was mentioning. So apparently, we can go a step further and look at DC Studios has reportedly set either June 9th or June 16th of 2027 for a mysterious release, which may turn out to be the DCU semi-sequel to Superman. This all lines up, John, because
I think it should be. I think it should be June 9th. I think it should be June 9th for one reason only. Then Superman is released on day 69. Well, at least for American audiences, not for. Well, in that case, then it would have to be September 6th if it was for the British audience. But I'm just saying, I'm just saying, make it happen.
Yeah, I think this would look. The logic behind this is solid in the sense that they do plan on releasing 2 movies a year, and we remember. I don't know if you still have the image somewhere, John, but like a long time ago, we had this graphic with like what was on this release schedule, and there was a gap in early 2027, and then obviously we have the Batman Part 2 in October 2027. And yeah, if they're starting to film this next year around the same time that the Batman Part 2 is filming, it would make sense. I mean, the only thing that to me would feel a little off is that if they're filming in early 2026, let's just say they don't finish filming till late summer 2026, that movie will have less time in post-production than Superman did. Not saying every movie needs an equal amount of time in post-production, but imagine if it's not a direct Superman sequel, there might be even more metahumans and superheroes involved. So I don't know. I mean, that's the only thing that I wonder. Like maybe if he is getting into production next year, maybe he's looking at more of a 2028 release date. That's my only, thing with that, where I don't know if this is completely accurate. But
right.
But John, like I was mentioning earlier, the pieces would fit. They have room. Like they need a movie for that time of the year. So because we know that Clayface is coming out next year, Sergeant Rock might be the only other thing I would consider putting in that earlier 2027, whether it's late spring, early summer. But if they do release something in the late or midsummer months, it could be there. It could very much be there. Otherwise, they just sit on it for an extra, I don't know, like half a year or a year till like 2028. But we'll keep an eye on this because I don't. This is the thing. John, you and I, we both can't really put our stamp of approval on this because it's not coming from like a Deadline or a Hollywood Reporter. It's not really the most reliable source, and we haven't been able to corroborate this from anywhere else.
Right.
So, yeah. Hey, Adrian's off to watch The Green Hornet. Enjoy the
hopefully
movie.
The show and not the terrible movie.
I just said it's a good movie. It's a decent movie.
It's okay. But I remember loving it when it first came out, and then I rewatched it. I'm like, oh, that's bad.
Yep. And that's a good point from the watcher, though. It is pretty far away from Secret Wars because Secret Wars comes out that December, right? And so the Batman would be done making its money by that time, and it's plenty far away from Doomsday. So, yeah. I mean, the show.
Good,
Okay, Adrian's gonna watch the show. Good call.
Good.
Stay out of the Superman's way, Marvel. Well, I mean, when it comes to those Avengers movies, it's more about DC
it's
staying out
Kato.
of their way.
Good times. My dad watched
But,
the Green Hornet.
Nice. All right. Well,
Hopefully, Green
Enterprise-
Hornet can get a good movie soon because the Seth Rogen one was woof.
Yeah. Angelica, I think, giving us her idea for what this semi-sequel Superman movie might feature, like the characters. I mean, if it is a Justice League movie, then I would imagine, yes, you do get a Batman in there, Wonder Woman, maybe even a Zatanna, and Supergirl. But I don't know. I feel like it's a step too far to go to the Justice League even before the Batman movie comes out. In fact, right now, I would be more likely to believe that they put out Brave and the Bold in 2027 because they really need to get that thing going. Like, they need a Batman in this universe before you can do a big team up. I'm not saying that's a hard and fast rule, but I would imagine you'd want a Batman in the lineup. So, Green Hornet needs justice. Yeah. Well, it's not really a DC character, but I see what you mean. No, I don't think he's going to introduce Wonder Woman. They're writing a Wonder Woman movie separately. I mean, this is the other thing, John. I think this is where we can kind of like wrap up the show for today, because with all of this talk about, we talked about Booster Gold being a TV show. Obviously, that doesn't really matter. But they are currently working on a script for a Wonder Woman movie, which is being fast tracked with Ana Naguera. She's going to put the Teen Titans script on pause for that. We have a Brave and the Bold movie that's being written that James Gunn is working very closely on, and we know we have a director attached for that, Andy Muschietti. And then, of course, James Gunn is turning his own treatment for the Superman sequel, which we called it. I called it. I was like, the moment the movie comes out, it won't be too long before we hear about a sequel if it's any good. And Superman obviously has been good, if not great, at least on the financial level. Critics love it. Not everybody loved it, and it didn't make $1 billion, but it did enough to be really successful. So they're now working on a sequel, a semi-sequel. But between a Wonder Woman movie, between a Brave and the Bold for the introduction of Batman and the Bat family, and then the Superman sequel, plus the Sergeant Rock movie that is expected to go into production next summer, I'm like, you can't put all of these things out by 2027, right? Like, some of these will be made for 2028. So let's just pretend for now, if we go off of this report and we believe that the Superman quasi-sequel comes out in 2027, then do you think Sergeant Rock and maybe Brave and the Bold and or Wonder Woman are all going to end up in 2028 or beyond? Because we also have the dynamic duo set for 2028, right? So we already have at least one movie scheduled for 2028. And I know their goal is to do maybe 2. I don't think they said really 3. I think they're trying to stick to 2 movies a year. So there's got to be at least 1 or 2 movies that are the odd man out that we don't get until 2029. What do you think gets pushed that far away as a result of all these other movies?
I don't know. I think because I forget what it was prior to this, but I really don't know. There's so many different priorities. I can't really imagine what James Gunn wants to do first, and then what everything else is. So I don't know. I'm really not too sure, and I'm pretty terrible with guessing stuff. So I'm just gonna be like, whatever James Gunn thinks is right.
Yeah. No, hey, in Gunn we trust, and thank you so much for your super chat, Enterprising. And the second super chat, thank you so much, man, saying, could Gunn attempt to adapt War of the Supermen? John, what do you think? Do you think that'd be a good idea?
I don't know. War of the Superman. I'm not familiar with that one. Is that like Death and Return of Superman, like where it's like between Cyborg Superman, the Eradicator, Superboy, and those 3 or more? I don't know.
That sounds like a multiverse story. I don't know. One of you guys might know in the chat what that's in reference to, but I think it seems a bit early for them to go in that direction, because it would just be so involved. Although it would track with the whole idea that it's not a proper Superman sequel, I personally still am holding on to the idea that this next movie is The Authority, and it's got Superman involved in it. We've already seen, Superman sort of tangle with the engineer. Well, he had tangled with the engineer pretty intensely in this movie, and almost, cost. Well, actually, didn't cost him his life. It didn't really, because he wasn't really affected by the nanites. But we do have that comic run with Superman and the Authority. So, and we know the suit that he wears. There's some inspiration there from that version of Superman. I'm willing to say, like, kind of like, I'm maybe on an island talking about what's his Nathan Fillion's Guy Gardner dying at the beginning of the Lantern show. I might be on the island about this Authority theory, but I still think it could be what they're going for. Yeah, too early to kill Superman too. That's definitely too early to kill Superman. Yeah, and Matt Reeves does take his mighty damn time with that stuff. Understatement of the decade, absolutely. They did, MTG. They have Ana Aguero was writing the Teen Titans movie, but she, according to James Gunn, has sort of slowed down work on that to focus on Wonder Woman. So we did talk about that in recent weeks, and I'm sure we'll get another update, and at the next AMA, the Ask Me Anything session James Gunn does on Threads. Yeah, they can't kill him off right now. They just can't. The new Krypton saga. That sounds like a good idea. Yeah. Yep, they already did that. Yep. And then they brought him back right in the next movie. And that didn't even fit with how Batman v Superman ends, because we think Superman's coming back to life, and then we realize, no, he wasn't. All those little pieces of dirt were just rising up and floating for no reason. And we need the Flash and the Mother Box to help bring Superman back to life and let him be evil for a little while before we bring in the backup that is Lois Lane. Anyway, I am now playing out the events of BVS.
And last thing we want is that's the last thing we want. So
yeah. Well, you know what the last thing we want, John, on the show, of course, is to point back towards the wonderful, wonderful polls that we've got in the community chat. So if you guys are in the community section, the posts section on the YouTube channel, you can still vote for the Fancast Friday. This upcoming Fancast Friday, we have 4 options.
Click on a thing, just you can't see it outright.
It's all right, but earlier today, Power Girl and Brainiac were tied at 38% apiece. And in the last couple of hours, Brainiac has jumped ahead to 41%. Power Girl now in second at 37%. And of course, recasting Iron Man and Captain America for the post, Secret Wars era of the MCU, sitting at 19%. With apparently nobody cares to cast the Professor X and Magneto, only at 4%. You guys have until Thursday night to vote on this, and then we'll pick up the highest vote getter. I was surprised how close Power Girl and Brainiac are. Brainiac has lost. He's been the bridesmaid 2 times in a row, so he's finally getting his due, at least for now. He may yet lose out to Power Girl. So you guys let us know in that vote, in that poll, and we'll work from there. Even the dirt was our perfect. God, that is the best way to put that whole situation. I've never thought of it that way, but great shout, Cool Easy. That is exactly.
At this point, I refuse to call them Cool. I'm calling them Elite Easy, and you're gonna fucking like it because I can't. I'm not calling you anything else. Get out of here.
Okay, Tony voted for the Captain America and Iron Man. Okay, that's good. All right, well, hey, you know what? It seems to be that the Brainiac and Power Girl, those will be the picks. But tomorrow, in fact, later today, if you're watching in the East Coast time, we will be talking about, it looks like Batman movies. I mean, look, between now and let's say 12 hours from now, when I'm going to start preparing all the pieces that we got to put together for the show, if for some reason, somehow we get like a 2-minute drill where the MCU fans show up and maybe hit a couple of buzzer beaters, and the MCU Phase 1 movies wins out the vote. It looks like, John, we're going to be doing a tier list in a matter of hours, literally less than a day away, for all the Batman movies. We're going to do all the theatrically released Batman movies. It might include a few animated ones, including the Lego Batman movie, but especially, obviously, as you can see there, all the live action Batman movies, including The Batman, the Dark Knight trilogy. We're finally going to do a tier list where John is going to get canceled. I'm going to rant a few times. I'm sure you guys are going to have a lot of fun. It looks like Batman movies will be the topic tomorrow on Tier List Tuesday. If you guys have any questions, comments, thoughts that you'd like to share, you're welcome to comment on this video here live, or if you want to go and do that on the poll. If you haven't voted yet, go ahead and vote for it. And then, of course, on Friday, we're going to do Fancast Friday, like Tony's mentioning there. So, yeah, Sydney Sweeney probably looking for her next hit because her movie that came out this weekend completely shit the bed. But hey, Batman movies.
Shit the bed harder than Amber Heard.
Yikes. All right. Well, John, speaking of some housekeeping, tomorrow on the Tier List Tuesdays, we're going to have the Batman movies, unless, like I said, the MCU Phase 1 movies option makes the late comeback. And then before that, on the DCU Daily show, we're going to be talking about not just the latest from the world of DC and some Marvel stuff, as we usually do, John, but tomorrow, Alien Earth drops episode 3. You're watching it. We're going to talk about it. And you guys, make sure to come back and join us for that review as well. We have Liz on the show this Thursday, so she's going to bring the MovieTalk Madness on Thursday. Until then, it's going to be just the two of us talking about Alien Earth tomorrow, Batman movies Tier List Tuesday, and then, of course, on Thursday, Peacemaker debuts. So thank you so much for joining us today for a fantastic show. And John, thank you so much for holding down the fort, man. Like this, it was a packed Monday evening show. They always are. And with that, remember to hit the like button, hit subscribe if you're new, hit the notification bell so you know when we go live. We'll be back tomorrow with 2 shows, DCU Daily and Tier List Tuesday. You still have a few hours to vote on your topic for Tier List Tuesday. Until then, John, what would James Gunn tell us to do?
Look out. Look up.
Either of those options work. You know why? Because we're blessed from the beginning.
It's another project that's been blessed from the beginning.
There's the shot right there. That.
Okay, we don't need to see chorus.
Right there.
Hey, buddy. Eyes up here.
Now you want to get nuts?
Let's get nuts.
Here we go. Victory mine. Ask me how am I doing? I'm telling you, really, I'm doing sublime. I never wait in a stewardess line. I just go do it. I'm moving my time. Really had nothing to do with it. How am I moving? I'm moving like you want to shine. Follow my lead. Don't listen to lies. I had to put me all in the line. That's why I know that victory's mine.
I prefer Jared Leto.
Hunka, hunka.
You won!
Bye. Spin off.